calm down. You're about to have like some sort of a heart attack over there. It's just
No, no,
I'm
no.
just yeah, it's just yeah. I'm so excited. It's favorite.
Well, I'm excited. I'm like really excited. It's been two
Okay, that's
years since
very
we
cute.
talked. It's great. Yeah.
I appreciate actually
Yeah,
people being so happy to see me. Okay, I'm
I
just
am. Yeah.
poking a little bit of fun. So anyhow, I am Anastasia. My name is Anastasia. I'm from Kharkiv, Ukraine, which is like quite close to the front in the east, and I am a volunteer primarily. I do like fundraisers for the army, for the soldiers, all that sort of thing. And I also have Twitter, and I also have sometimes appear and talk with people like here.
Hmm.
like right now basically. And sometimes I do some sort of like spokesperson stuff. I also work with
Hmm.
journalists quite a bit, but mostly as a translator for them, like to show them places and to do translation work for them, and also find people for them to talk with, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
People in the
that's
chat are very supportive of you, so that's nice. Yeah. Yeah.
thank
Um,
you. Hello.
um, but for me, I am like I will just introduce myself real quick for people who don't know me, I guess. I'm Foodshops. I've been on and off doing content creation. I've had many arcs at this point. Many of them are very controversial. However, this is the second time I'm talking to Anna, which I'm very happy about. I have made kind of a return to politics because I have officially captured Asmongold's audience. So every single time I make a video, all of his audience come and storm me. So, but I'm going to take advantage of that because now I'm going to disseminate information to them that they're not previously exposed to. So this is kind of my goal. All right. Um, but yeah, that's just
Isn't he
kind
like
of what I do.
huge? Like, are you
Uh,
beefing like with the huge ass like streamer dude,
oh
right?
well,
The
we're not actively beefing. We're not going back and forth. I'm very
oh,
tiny. I'm like very small, right? However, with Asmongold, he has noticed me one time, and the one time is
uh-huh.
because Rev Says Des to another slop YouTuber or whatever made a video on me, right? Because I was
Mhm.
criticizing them. I was criticizing them both, and
Mhm.
and a lot of these points I criticize them on is like Ukraine, right, and Russia. So
Uh-huh.
yeah, so that's kind of I'm kind of in the virtual trenches, right? In terms of that, yeah.
Mhm. I didn't really see him speak much of that. I don't watch him, like I don't have the time obviously. But it's
Hmm.
just that I did see like Destiny reacting to some of his stuff, I think a couple times, but it was mostly about like Trump or like I don't know, like woke people or whatever the fuck, like I don't know, black lesbians in movies and that sort of shit.
It's
Extraordinary important stuff.
yeah,
Yeah, so
extraordinary
I
important stuff. Yeah,
yeah, I didn't
yeah,
really other than that, I don't know much to be honest about like his stuff. What his
and
opinions are on like political stuff
yeah,
about geopolitical, I mean.
yeah, the reason why I think this is a bigger deal than people make it out to be is because he's somebody with an enormous audience. And when he
Mhm.
does political commentary, all right, his political commentary segments, whenever he posts one of these segments online, they get 1 million views, 2 million views, all right? And he gets a
Oh,
viewership
uh-huh.
of around 40,000 to 80,000 live concurrent viewers, right? And he's casually saying all of these like Russian propaganda talking points, just very casually, right? And a lot of a lot of the defense that his most like ardent supporters give him is that, oh, he's just a casual streamer. He's not a professional political commentator, right? So all these like silly little
Mhm.
excuses, and then I'm just here like it's through casual commentary how propaganda is spread. It's not like, because if you label somebody as a
Mhm.
political commentator, maybe they're even less appealing to a lot of people. But if you label somebody as like a casual streamer, people are going to listen to them more because
Yeah.
they think it's somewhere to relax. But now when they're relaxing and listening to a lot of propaganda points, it's going to get entrenched in their minds. So with this enormous viewership, and by the way, Hassan gets a lot of pushback. We all hate Hassan here, all right? We do, all right? Because I
Yeah.
also get comments. I also get comments saying like, oh, why don't you make videos on Hassan? Hassan is such an easy target, whatever, right? First of all, I have made videos on Hassan before. Number two, all right, Hassan is already
Mhm.
very well criticized. In fact, he's one of the most pushed back figures now. However, Asmongold is not one, and Asmongold is like 2 times bigger
Mhm.
than Hassan, so it's not even comparable. So,
Also, I would say though that Hassan is representing the fuck Hassan, obviously, but he is representing. He has a big audience, obviously, but there are like commies, less socialists, leftoids, like have like very little actual impact. As much as I hate
mhm.
them, okay, I hate them, but they hate me, I hate them. It's, it's that. But as much as I hate them as a Ukrainian, but they don't really have any significant impact on the actual real world right now.
They do
Whereas
not
the
know.
Trump,
No.
yeah, Trump audience among us, they do, because not only Trump is the president of the United States, they also have a much more sway and influence on our real life. For example, as much as commies hate Ukraine, they can't really do much to us. Why Trump can and did do,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
already
yeah. I mean,
did. So yeah, so
y-
it's just it's a completely different situation. I understand what you mean in that
yeah,
sense. Yeah.
and
Plus,
and I think Asmongold's viewers
Hassan
vote
hasn't
more as
spoken.
well. So it's also that, like,
Oh yeah,
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 it's like,
that as
the
well.
voter
Leftoids
base,
like don't
right?
what like fuck
Yeah,
them, unironically, yeah. But
yeah, yeah.
I also think like Hassan's audience. I also Hassan hasn't really spoke that much about
Mhm,
Ukraine, as far as I know. He mostly is on his
mhm.
terrorist support grind. So it's just because of that he's really
He's
like
so
he's not
stupid.
really,
He's yeah, he's
yeah.
just so retarded all the time. Like, Hassan is such a lolcow. It's just kind of funny to just laugh at him, right? Um,
Maybe he will be
yeah.
actually supporting Russia soon enough because he loves terrorists, and Russia is the biggest terrorist state out there. So you think he would, might be able
Mhm.
to actually appreciate them a little bit more. But we shall see.
Yeah.
Okay, he's
Yeah, we'll
he
shall
Russia,
see.
Hassan has been doing like mostly like I would say soft core Russian propaganda with some flexes
Softcore.
of
Hmm.
hardcore Russian propaganda. Yeah, but most
Yeah.
of his stuff is like was something I would say apologia, like apologia for
Apologia.
Russian
Hmm.
invasion, all of that. But it wasn't really like full throttle like support of Russia or justification of invasion. As much as I hate him, I gotta like be truthful about the content. I still think it was disturbing. I reacted to it even with Dylan's video and stuff, and Dylan Burns like filmed a Ukrainians react video to Hassan's content. But as much as
Hmm.
I think it's despicable and pretty fucking disgusting, especially like Crimea, annexation of Crimea was a completely justified act, all of that, right? Calling us terrorists for attacking a legitimate fucking bridge. All
Hmm.
of that is not great, but it's not as much as important as, for example, someone like Asmongold, who people watch just to for entertainment purposes, and then they also get
Hmm.
bits and juicy pieces of like disinformation and Russian propaganda blend into that, and that's much more effective than watching a very let's say a streamer who represents a very unpopular ideology overall in
Yeah.
United States.
I, I want to clarify as well. This is just as a show of good faith, because I do have at least one Asmongold like super fan in chat, right? The thing is that yes, I know Asmongold do support Ukraine. Like, he supports Ukraine personally, but the thing is that he's so entrenched in his pro-Trump beliefs, to the point where he criticizes Zelensky a lot. He says that, oh, Zelensky has to make sacrifices. Oh, Zelensky's stubborn, but it's never on Russia. It's never on Trump, right? Even though he says Putin's a scumbag, he leaves it at that. He literally only leaves it at that, right?
I will say I
Mhm.
don't know, like I said, that what he thinks about like Ukraine, Russia in particular, because I just haven't seen much. I did see like a little clip of him saying that basically like changing his mind on the whole Oval Office situation with Zelensky. I believe at first he was like sort of,
It's the
I think,
suit thing.
saying,
It Yeah, it's
"Oh yeah,
because of the suit
oh
thing.
the
Oh
suit
my gosh.
thing."
Oh
Yeah,
my
I've seen the
gosh.
suit thing. Yeah, the argument I believe was that he should have wore a suit because an adult thing is to basically, I don't know, suck a dick of a stronger person, and yeah, and just roll with the disrespect and because you are in a weaker. I believe that was literally his position. That if I'm not mistaken, that Zelensky should have rolled over essentially because he doesn't represent just himself. He represents the country, and he should like have sacrificed his ego or some shit to appeal to Trump essentially to win a favor from him. I think something of that sort. I heard him say, if I'm not mistaken, but I might be. I'm not sure. I hear a lot
Yeah,
of bullshit. Okay, these days.
What it is just basically Trump demands like, oh, decorum or whatever like that. But then the thing is that one reporter or I guess Marjorie Taylor Greene's husband or something, he just says like, oh, why don't you wear a suit? Why don't you wear a suit? I wouldn't even be surprised if he got that question from Putin himself or something, like from the Kremlin. But because that is
I mean,
such, like, they want to manipulate every single possible detail in the scenario, right? Because they want to make sure that he
I
looks
will
bad
say
and
that
right, yeah.
it was I mean, anyone with eyes can say that was a deliberate provocation. Like they have been
Yeah.
disrespecting and hogging on him like from the get-go, essentially. And even Trump was like, "Oh, I see you dressed up or some shit." Like just from the get-go, they just didn't shake hands even, and he already said it, right? So the suit thing, I disregard completely because simply because first of all, are you mental? Like, why does this matter? Like, he met the king of England without wearing a suit. He met all the representatives in the world without wearing a suit and they have been fine. But your Lord, Overlord, Führer, Orange guy, King is somehow like in another plane of existence. Churchill appeared in the Oval Office, by the way, during wartime without wearing a suit, and everyone
I
is
saw that.
henky
Yeah.
dory. You have a fucking Elon out there wearing like a cap and a t-shirt like a retard and with a chainsaw and all of that business, like running around, and nobody has a problem with that. And his kid like picking his fucking nose and wiping it at the table, and that's
Dude.
cool apparently, right? So there's a lot of things like that. And also, as far as also, I will say I am like 100% certain that if
Hmm.
Zelensky wore a suit, they would be saying, "Look at him wasting our tax-paying money to buy himself suits or some shit." They would be criticizing him for like having a too
Right.
expensive suit or some shit like that. It was really never about the
Hmm.
actual suit. It was about the just to push him down and to show
Exactly.
him his
Yeah.
place, quote unquote. And the
Hmm.
fact that they say he never says thank you is just fucking disturbing because nobody says thank you more than fucking Zelensky.
He said thank you at the very beginning. And also, can I just say
Yes,
something about this? You're expecting a Slavic person to say thank you? Okay, well, I mean, no racism, okay? But I'm just saying like
we do say thank you when
yeah,
it's
do
deserved.
okay, okay, when it's deserved, exactly. But it's like it because Americans have this like very inflated ego look of this Western view of like, oh, you have to say thank you every time. You have to say thank you even when it doesn't matter, right?
Yeah, that's not
But then
something weird. That's
you should
yeah.
only say thank you when you actually mean it. But like he did actually say thank you, so it's like you don't even have like the whole
Yes, he
entire
said in the
cultural
beginning.
context. Yeah, you don't even have the cultural context behind it. So it's like it's very frustrating to see that, right? Like
I
it's
think
I don't
someone
know.
actually did a compilation of Zelensky just saying thank you specifically to United States, not just the rest of
Mm.
all the other countries, but just to United States, and it lasted like 5 minutes or some shit. Like a bunch of like compilation of just him saying since 22 thank you to United States for the support for the aid, like our best partner, our like this and that, like so just like saying it all the time, all the time, all the time. I also say it all the time, all the time, all the time.
It's
Everywhere I
so
PR
stupid,
say it.
isn't it?
So
Like, yeah, it's
yeah,
so
yeah, it's
stupid.
stupid. Yeah, it's stupid. It's
Yeah.
disrespectful. It's insulting. It's just to. I mean, I know. I don't know. You have this understanding, but that was the behavior we expect from like gopniks in the 90s. Do you know what gopnik is?
No, I do not
That's like
know.
basically like if you Google it, you will probably see the what it looks like.
Gopnik?
But it's basically gopnik. Yeah, gopnik. It's
Gopnik.
basically like a Slavic thug, like in like post-Soviet.
Oh, oh, so it's a Slavic slur for fag, right?
No, 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 no. It's a
No, that's not
thug.
what you said.
Thug.
Oh, thug. Oh, I thought you said
Thug.
fag. I was like, okay, all right.
No,
Fag would
no,
have
no
still been
gay people
acceptable.
slurs.
No, no, no. I would have been okay with fag
Uh,
as well. All right, it's
no, no,
fine.
no. Like a thuggish behavior, basically, right?
Hmm.
So that the people would be wearing fake Adidas suits, which Adidas, I think you say in English, and we will call them Abibas, not Adidas, Abibas because
Where
they
did that
are
even
fake,
come
right?
from?
Uh,
Like, where did that even? I don't even
Yeah,
know where that even came
they,
from.
they
It's
would
just.
they would wear that like fake ass
Oh,
suits in the 90s and early 2000s, and they will pick up on
oops.
people to just basically steal their shit, right? And the method would be you find like a sort of vulnerable person, maybe a guy who's like well dressed, so you can call him a gay or some shit, right? And you will
Yeah.
like come to him and be like, "What is it you're wearing? You look like a fucking gay boy," all that sort of thing. And you would do that, and you will start to like harass a person, and the person will get intimidated, like and scared that he will be getting beaten up, and he will give you your stuff. Like he'll give them his stuff, like money or like maybe something like jewelry or some shit, right? And that's kind of like the behavior that Trump and Vance were doing out there. They were trying to basically just intimidate him, like push him, so to provoke him. And if you provoke, and if you react to Gopnik's provocations without fear, you won't
They'll
like,
just
oh
take
yes,
more.
take this.
They'll take more,
Yeah,
right?
first of all,
Yeah,
they
exactly. Yeah,
take
they'll take
more.
more.
Yeah, but if you react with assertiveness and no, I'm not giving you your stuff, they will beat you up. So that's what happened, literally.
Oh,
He
hold on.
didn't succumb. Yeah, he
Keep
was
going,
the
keep going.
I
Sorry.
don't
I'm
see you
fix
anymore.
no, no, don't worry. I'm fixing my
Uh,
cam. All right. So, yeah, that's
so
about it.
he
Keep going.
didn't buy the bluffing and the like aggressive pushing and all of that like yo dude thing, right? And they got angry because he didn't do it. He continued to politely but still say that no, like Europe did help us. Europe actually paid quite a lot, right? It's a lie that Europe didn't pay. He didn't say a lie, but he said it's not correct, right? Although it is a lie.
Okay,
That
okay.
Trump always said.
I should be closer now. So now we're good. Okay,
You
now
are
we're finally
closer.
good. I
Yes.
fixed it. I fixed it. All right, yeah. But yeah, no,
Yeah.
like you were talking about like how Trump was being a thug and pushing him around, right? There's actually
Yeah,
something I
intimidation.
actually
Yeah.
want to talk about there. So who was that former Ukrainian president again? That was like a Putin stooge. Oh, who was that? Who is it? What was the name again?
Yanukovych, the one that
Yanukovych.
we ousted.
So
Yeah.
so what that kind of reminds me is that I feel like Trump is kind of like Yanukovych, doesn't it?
He
Like
was a bit of a
he
gopnik.
yeah, like
Yanukovych.
Yanukovych, like he wants to restrict free
Yeah, that's
speech, right?
true.
Trump wants to sue journalists, and not only that, like he
Yeah,
pretends he's on the
I mean,
side of the
that's
American
tyrannical
people,
behavior.
right?
Mhm.
Yeah, and then when I look at it, I'm like, I'm seeing like some familiar patterns going on, right? Like when I'm comparing these
Those
two different
patterns
times in
are.
history.
I wouldn't even say it's like a Yanukovych sort of thing. It's like an oligarch in power sort of thing. Like it's not like something particularly like I guess you could say unique to Ukraine, but it's definitely something that in all the so-called post-Soviet countries there was a huge issue with corruption and still is in many countries, right? Because of the oligarchy, essentially, like because you have like a bunch of very rich, like criminal related, usually people that have gained a lot of wealth on doing pretty criminal shit, illegal shit in the 90s after the dissolvement of the Soviet Union, mostly, right? And then they also have like pretty big ties with Russian big business and with Russian or a Russian oligarchy, which is a level up towards compared to our oligarchy, right? Most of them, sometimes they're dual citizens. They would have like citizenship in Russia. Sometimes they will own a lot of businesses in Russia. Sometimes they were actually straight up just Russian citizens, so they weren't even like the citizens of Ukraine, and they owned like half the country, right? So that kind of thing you get in a lot of like countries in Eastern Europe, in Georgia, in Ukraine, in Moldova, like in Romania, whatever, right? So a lot of things like that. And
Yeah,
this is now
exactly.
uh,
Yeah.
what has happened in the United States, in my opinion. It's very familiar to most people in Eastern Europe because it is like this oligarchy. You have the richest guy alive, you know, having basically commanding shit that he has no business commanding. Elon, I mean, nobody elected that guy, right? But he has like he's basically the second guy in power right now. Once must be like actually feeling a little bit pissed, unironically, because technically vice president is actually Elon. So it's that,
True.
right? And
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
a
true.
bit jelly beans maybe somewhere there.
Yeah.
So you
Oh my
really
God.
like have that.
You know,
Mhm.
sorry. No, finish your thought first. Finish your thought
Trump
first.
is
Yeah.
Trump is an oligarch. Like by all accounts, he's just a pretty shady businessman who like have been who lost his like business and his wealth like on multiple occasions, went to Moscow 10 times to ask for money from his Russian pals, right? It's like all of that is just it's a pretty typical, not typical for the United States, however. Not to say that you never had oligarchs, but they haven't been so blatantly in overreaching in power like they are right now.
Yeah,
So that's the problem, obviously.
to address a lot of points, I actually did some research, right? And I actually found out that in sometime in 2019, Trump went all the way to Russia, and then he basically said, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm going to build my new Trump Tower here in Moscow. I'm going to build my own Trump Tower in Moscow. And I'm just thinking like because we have people talking about like how these people have like overseas connections and stuff. And then I'm just here thinking like, wait, but do you not see that Trump wants to literally has business investments in Russia? This is what he has of
Yep.
like, and then now we have him like inserting into this whole entire situation. Like, oh, I want to be the arbiter of peace. I want to be the arbiter, the neutral arbiter of peace between these two countries, even though I have like business investments in like this one side, right? And I'm just here thinking like, bro, the lies have gone too deep, okay? Like these Trumpers
Um,
and these like
I mean, Elon
it's just
literally bought.
horrible.
I
It's
don't know why
horrible.
nobody is
Yeah.
talking about this. It annoys the fuck out of me. But Elon literally bought Twitter with his multi-billionaire friend from Russia, like Russian oligarch. Like
Really?
they both paid for it. Yes, you can look it
Mm.
up, and I will send you the info afterwards as well.
Okay.
There, and really, rarely anyone talks about it. That literally a Russian dude, like super
Mm.
duper corrupt asshole, multi-billionaire, helped him to buy Twitter, and then turned Twitter into Trump and Russia propaganda campaign. What a
Oh,
coincidence! Yeah, it's just
it
such a
was
coincidence.
horrible. It's just so bad. And
Yeah, I mean,
and you
yeah.
know what's the most frustrating part is that and I'm sure you feel this as well, is that for every single lie, you you have to go through like 10 minutes of research. You have to go through like 5 minutes, 10 minutes of research. I mean, obviously by now
I,
you memorized everything. You
yeah,
memorized all
I
the
memorized.
top Kremlin talking points.
Yeah, yeah.
But like for me,
Mm-hmm.
I remember sometimes I'm just sitting there really frustrated because I'm editing a video, an anti-Asmongold video, right? And then he just says something so retarded, so shitty, right? And he doesn't give a fuck. He just says the lie. He just says the propaganda point, and I'm just here doing research for 20 minutes, 30 minutes trying to debunk this point, and then all the news articles just hide the actual debunked points somewhere in the middle where you can't see it, and I'm just like scrolling through trying to find it, and I'm just
Why
like,
it's so
God, it's so
effective.
much easier to
Yeah,
lie. It's so much easier to lie. Like it's
so
just
much. Yes, it is very easy.
yeah.
And now you are at a stage, very unfortunate, honestly, a very dangerous time for you to see just how much they know they can get away with. That's pretty scary because, as
Very
usually,
scary.
you kind of like you have to like do a little bit of a testing, basically, as
Mm-hmm.
a authoritarian, right? In every situation, they do that. They in all countries, they test the waters basically of how much they can get away with and how much the population will react. Or will they react at all? Will there be any backlash or there will be none because most people are fine with that, right? And you start by basically so quote unquote innocent lies, right? So you start with things that aren't really like that aggravating, that
Mm-hmm.
egregious, that aren't really like illegal, but they like kind of border on illegal, or maybe are like immoral, but not really crossing the legality thing, right? And then you move it, and then you move it forward. You do worse. You lie even more horribly and blatantly. And there, if
Mm-hmm.
there is no reaction, there you reach a point, then you can get away with anything. And I truly believe that for MAGA, most of them, not all of them, but most of like MAGAs in the United States, they are at that point. So if like Trump picks up a fucking duck or in Oval Office and says this is a cat, everyone will say, yeah, it's a cat. You know, you are at that point basically
Or
of a
or or
cult right
yeah,
now.
or they'll say something like, "Oh, you know, obviously this is Trump joking. Obviously Trump doesn't mean it. Trump like isn't
Yeah,
like
or they
yeah.
will use some sort of like
Oh, yeah, okay."
denial of like denial and or excuse, and those denials will pop up, and the denial is that test that the American people didn't pass because
Yeah.
that test was essentially to say, wait, you are being blatantly lied to and you are doing nothing, absolutely nothing. So you're not even outraged, and that's that's the basically the green light for all the malicious actors out there to test the society and to try to grow their power and their overreach they do. So you are now at that stage. It's not irreversible in my opinion, but it is already in the very danger zone essentially.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And you know what's so scary is that I believe that we might be on our way to also a similar Russia Ukraine example, right? Because the thing is that he's testing the waters. He's testing the waters in terms
Mhm.
of invading Canada. That's what he's testing the waters
Yeah,
for.
that's like
Invading
that's
Canada
testing the
and
waters.
invading Greenland.
Exactly. That's what I meant.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's
And
what I meant.
now
Exactly. Yeah.
and now I feel like a lot of the same patterns are emerging as if Putin was testing the waters to invade Ukraine. What I really, really fear is that Trump looks as Putin as a role model. He looks up to him. He goes like,
Wait.
Putin
Yeah.
is invading Ukraine. He's taking over land. He's advancing. Why can't I do it? Why can't I do it? Right? Like why is it why does it only have to be Putin? Right? So yeah, it's very scary. It's very scary time to be living in
Basically,
right now. Yeah.
I'm super happy you actually brought it up because that's like the best
Mhm.
example right now.
It is the best
Is when
example.
people like
Yeah.
he's not gonna do like
He's
Canada
not gonna do
invasion and
it.
like
He's not gonna
maybe
invade
not now,
Ukraine.
maybe
Yeah.
yeah exactly, but not now, not necessarily now. Like I don't think it will happen tomorrow. But
Mhm.
what you are doing is you are testing what can you say. You are
Yes.
starting to basically on a daily basis threaten the sovereignty of other country,
Mhm.
and your base, like the majority of the people who support you, seem to be
Mhm.
just fucking fine with that. They
Yes.
either
Yeah.
don't mind, they support it, or they say, "Oh, it's just memes, bro. It's just memes, bro." Right? And doing that, it's just a silly meme, bro. Right? And that's how you test it, because you want to know. There is like the stupid ass assumptions that many Westerners make that I hate, that
Mhm.
authoritarians don't care about what the population think. That's not true. They
They
do
care a
care about
lot.
what the
They
population.
care a lot
Yeah,
because
yeah,
the
yeah.
population could overthrow
Yes,
you. Oh well, I mean, and you know
yes.
the best fascist dictatorship. That sounds horrible, but the best like the most effective fascist dictatorships are the ones that are like that they have the people's approval. These are the ones that last the
Yes,
longest and do the most
100%.
damage. Hitler, right? You
Doesn't
have you
work
like
without the people. Yeah.
exactly not the Nazi party, the average Nazi citizen. They loved Hitler. They loved him, right? Like they understood what was going
There
on at
was a
these
huge
camps,
base.
right?
There
Yeah.
was a huge base. There was a huge base of people who knew exactly what was happening and were supporting them. But there also
Hmm.
was a huge base of people who didn't really care that much, and that's the biggest amount of people you need. You don't need
Yes.
like 90. You don't need 70% of rabid supporters. Okay, for example, in Russia, right? Like not
Hmm.
70% of the Russians are not like rabid fascist Russia supremacist assholes, right? A lot
No.
of them are. Very, very disturbing number of them are, but not the absolute majority, right? The absolute
Hmm.
majority is conformist, is indifferent, doesn't care, right? Or agrees with some parts of Putin's policy, but excuses others, right? That they don't
Hmm.
really like. So that's
Yeah.
kind of like how it works. So, for example, the same thing in Nazi Germany. Not every single German was like, yes, the Jews, that's
Right.
not realistic. Like it never happened, obviously, right? A lot of people did. A lot of people were very much Zihailin, but a lot of people didn't, but they didn't care much. That's the danger zone. Unironically, that's what you need. You don't need as an authoritarian like a rabid fucking 100% support of every single person. So that's something to keep in mind as well, because sometimes people like, oh, people wouldn't really support. They would like, do you know, like Timothy Snyder did that really cool thing in his book on tyranny, that he spoke about. I don't know how it's called in English because I read it in Ukrainian, but it was I think surround succumbing in advance or something like that. surrendering in advance, something maybe something like that in English. Maybe people, some people know might be able to correct it, but and that's basically the concept of this testing exactly. That you want to see how much people will accept in advance, so how much they will be willing to surrender if you push harder against the freedoms, against the boundaries that are established within society. And he brings up the example of Austria, when people didn't really have a full Nazi occupation at the time, but the Nazis started to test waters there by, for example, not gassing Jews or like throwing them in jails or like pulling them on trains to deport them, right? None of that was happening at the time, but they were doing much softer things. For example, public humiliation stuff, right? They forced Jews to scrap the floors in Austria, to scrap the independence signs from the pavement, essentially from the cobblestone, right? And
Yeah.
there's a very famous picture of that happening. It's actually quite difficult to look at that picture, like them
Oh.
scrubbing the cobblestones, right? And you see the look arounds, the Austrians, right, in the society. Most of them are just gawking, like just they are not like Zikhailin or everything. They're just like, they're just looking. They're looking and they're
Right.
not affronted. They're not doing anything to stop it. Like some people picking their nose, some people like just laughing, some people pointing fingers, and there are like a dozen of people who are actually like saluting, right? Looking at that. Those are rabid ones, right? Rabid
Yeah.
supporters of that. But most people just are picking their nose and don't care and don't do anything. They just watch. And that's
Yeah.
how you surrender in advance. That's how they gave permission for what happened afterwards, because that showed the authority at the time that they're not going to do anything against any more severe actions, right? And that's
Exactly. Yeah.
the historical example of that,
And
basically.
one of these, and I think there's a parallel to this as well, right? Because tariffs, right? Like in a way, because that is a soft poke. When you put tariffs, you are the only okay, because it was so funny. I was watching like this podcast episode, right? And then
Can
the
you hold a
two
second,
the
just a second?
oh yeah, no problem.
I'm
I'm gonna fix my
I'm
hair.
trying to figure out where the fuck is the drone.
Oh
Wait a second.
no, which drone?
Yeah, Shahed drone. It's
Oh
things that
shit.
explodes on impact.
Is it is
Um,
it is it
we
coming
have
your
like
way?
it's in the city, but I don't hear it yet.
Shit.
Yeah, I don't hear it. So I imagine it's not really anywhere near. Last I spoke with someone yesterday, and I
Mm.
on stream I had to actually run to the corridor because I missed it flying like close. So I should be a little bit more careful, I imagine, because
Oh
I
my
am near
gosh.
the window.
Okay, you can just run away anytime. All right, trust me. I don't
Yeah,
want you to
thank
be
you.
doing an interview
Yeah.
and then just like dying in the middle. That would be horrendous. Well, you got a lot of
I just
views, but like it would be horrendous.
it is
Yeah,
content. It is content. You cannot lie. Yeah, but I
right.
exploded on screen. But I didn't hear it because I was in the headphones and stuff. And then my mom walked in and she was like, "Oh, to the corridor," and that sort of thing. And I went and they exploded quite close, like in
Some
our part of town.
Something like
Yeah.
that actually happened for Dylan Burns, because when I was interviewing Dylan
Oh yeah, yeah.
Burns, in the middle
I saw
there
it.
was
Yeah.
this drone or something that just crashed on a nearby building or something and created a lot of noise for him.
Yes,
I didn't
happens.
hear it, but he was startled. He was actually like spacing out a little bit, right? Because of how startled he was. Um
He was living in the area that a lot of like stuff was basically coming through him, like
mhm.
above him. Like they weren't like bombing the immediate area where he was, but a lot of shit was like just basically passing by. And that's also you can really quite hear it. And with Shahed drones, there have been like daily attacks for like a couple of weeks. So we had like one day, then it was like 20 strikes in one day in Kharkiv, which wasn't particularly awesome. But I would say four of them were like close to me. The rest weren't really. But
Yeah, no, that's
by
yeah,
close I mean like couple of minutes away, mostly like of
yeah, cause
walking
cause
distance, basically.
yeah, because I was looking at some old stuff, right? Like for example, You in the Dark, and then the drone. You can hear the humming of the drone, and then they just like
Oh yeah,
freaking
yeah.
right. And
Yeah, house
then
boom. Yeah.
you just cursed, right? And then I was like, damn, that shit's crazy. It's like you're just hiding in the dark. You don't even know if the explosion is gonna kill you or not. You don't know, where it's gonna go
It's
or
kind of
where it's
difficult
gonna
to
bomb,
say.
right? Mm-hmm.
I can say the distance. I can tell the distance by the sound pretty well by now, but it's kind of I can tell like it's 5 minutes away, 10 minutes away, like 2 minutes away. But anything closer than 2 minutes away, mostly no difference. So if it's really really close, you can't tell if it's like above your fucking house or is it like a couple of streets away because it's quite noisy. So it's if it's that close, you can't really tell. That's when you get really like a bit scared because if you can
Right.
because that's the point where you can't really tell is it like near your window or is it like a couple of streets away and I don't think I can really tell with just the hearing with my ears where it is exactly.
The
But
Shahed
there you
drones
can
are from
compare
Iran,
though.
right? They're from Iran.
They
The
kind of
Shahed
yes,
drones.
they are built in Iran and they're like have been supported. Iran has been supported in Russia with them for most of the war, I'd say, since 22. And they also build their own versions of Shahed drones, Russian basically version of it. And we also have like a Molnia drones, which are Russian-based drones, and they also attack Kharkiv relatively daily, mostly. But
Jesus.
Molnia are not really loud, which is, on one hand, it's good because you're not so scared because you don't
Mm-hmm.
hear them coming in.
But it comes
But
out of
also, it's
nowhere.
bad because yeah,
Yeah.
because you don't hear them, and upon exploding only. I
Oh.
even like walked home from the postal office
Mm-hmm.
just in the evening, and I was like, "Is it buzzing like or am I like losing my mind?" And I'm like removing like trying to look up and to see like what's up, right? And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
I must be like tripping because it's not loud enough for it to
Mm-hmm.
be a drone, a Shahed drone. And I'm like, I'm just making it up. And then I'm looking and I'm literally seeing the fucking drone, but that was Molnia
Jesus.
drone. So I didn't know at the time that they're so silent. They only appeared. It was like a new thing. And I was like, whoa. So I just ran to the nearest like ditch I could jump into and I just jumped into it and waited out because they do throw stuff on civilians if they see them. So most of that you can see in if you look up human safari in Kherson. That's a place where the most casualties are because of the drones, because Russians just hunt civilians there and they throw explosive on them. And there's like, I don't know, hours of footage of that shit in Kherson because they themselves film it and they place it on Telegram channels, for example. So yeah, so anyone that is interested to look it up, unfortunately very underreported. It's Human Safari. The place it's going on is Kherson. It's
I see it.
Kherson.
Yeah.
So that's you can really like see a lot of footage, disturbing shit. If you're like not don't want to see like any people exploding, then probably don't watch it. But if you do want to, then just people like on their cars, like on their bikes, just walking on up from the grocery stores, all of that. They just drop like explosives on them
Okay.
for
I just
funsies.
I just saw a really fucked up sentence if I can read it. The
Mhm.
footage captured during the attacks on Ukrainian civilians are shared and celebrated on Russia's social media channels. And it says here that many of the drones are purchased through fundraisers organized by Russian civilians, like a fucking
Yep.
GoFundMe
Yeah,
for
that's right.
death. And Russian soldiers then
Yep.
shared their drone footage showcasing Ukrainian deaths online. So then supporters of the fundraisers can see their return on investment. Pop
Yeah,
music
I
is
will
sometimes
highlight
added to
that
the
they're attacking
footage.
civilians. They're attacking civilians and not attacking soldiers. They're
They're not
attacking
attacking
civilians. Just walking up.
soldiers, no.
Yeah.
No, it's
Yeah.
literally no. It,
So
it's
that's
it's it's
yeah.
it's literally an assassination board. Is what we're talking about. Where we're talking about
Human
like
safari.
literal.
It is human
Yeah,
safari. That's why we call it that way. It's up to
yeah.
description, I would say.
No, that's fucked
So
up.
yeah, that's one of the most I'd say blatant war crimes.
Blatant. Yeah.
Because it's so filmed. It's like very much filmed by themselves, and they post it. So it's not like we have to like actually try to find any sort of footage or evidence of that because they just film it themselves and they post it on Telegram and you can download it from there, no problem.
And you know
Yeah.
what's so insane is that we just see all of this like modernized, isn't it? Like we see all of this like, oh, it's the internet age. We can just like, it's like an evolution. It's a step up from like the past war crimes. Now everything is like fucked up in a new way, right? Um,
You mean you
and
can
yeah,
get access to like footage of it in such a like high quality
I mean, you
stuff, yeah?
can request targeting civilians for memes
Oh,
and
yeah,
for
yeah, sure.
trolls, right? Like that's fucked
Yeah.
up, isn't it? Like
Nothing.
it's just
Can do anything
like
in Russia.
yeah,
They don't abide by any like you can't do it. You will be banned as fuck, obviously, if it wasn't on
yeah.
Telegram, if it was on some like I don't know Reddit or like anywhere else, right? But in Russia, obviously, there are no rules of conduct, so you don't really care about that. Which, unironically, what so many retarded magas dream about. Of having like websites with no limitations, but that's what you get. You get like people being fucking killed. You get pedophilia. You get sex trafficking. You get all of that. Oh, I guess you like that because you have Andrew Tate now being welcomed in your country. I don't know,
Being
but
dude, oh my
yeah,
gosh, you had to say it. Dude, I'm just like every single
I'm
time dude,
sorry.
in the
That was
first
me.
like no, you're fine. But like I'm just saying like in the first like what like 50 days? 2 months or something like that? Our country has already like like
Yep.
um yeah, I can only hope that the European Union can actually consolidate and then fucking make a little
Seems to be
military, okay? All right. Yeah, it's just
seems to
horrible.
be that they have been, as one would say, United States shooketh. I
Shukov?
think is the word. They have been definitely that due to the administration, current administration's behavior when it comes to threatening their allies economically, when it comes to tariffs and shit like that, and of course of the treatment of of Zelensky and of Ukraine and all of that. So cutting off aid has been very not appreciated. Cutting off intelligence has been not appreciated to say the least. Because people already quite literally died because of that. So it's not just some games you can play,
Mhm.
and because of that, the United States has lost its appeal to people as a hegemon, as a leader of the Western world, and
It
many
feels
people just
horrible.
simply
Like
don't trust it.
it sucks. Yeah.
It does. It
Yeah.
should. Like I appreciate people acknowledging that like you do because it should suck. You're like basically like doing your version of a fucking Brexit, but it somehow is even more retarded because at least they
It's
didn't threaten anyone.
nothing about it makes sense. That's the thing, is that like if I look at the details, if I look at the policies they're willing to implement and everything, it's like, what are the terrorists supposed to fucking do? They're not supposed to. They don't do anything. They don't do jack shit, right? Like
I
and
mean,
then
they
it's like
do,
not helping
they
out
do
Ukraine. Oh
things.
my gosh, dude.
They're tanking
Well,
your
it's
fucking economy, and they're making things more expensive. That's what they do
oh
for
my
all
gosh.
people involved.
See, that's my
Yes.
conspiracy. Is that it's very purposeful, because in the Weimar Republic, it's people were in a state of desperation. People were in a state of desperation in the Weimar Republic because prices, inflation, all that stuff. The same exact patterns, right? So when you create a desperate situation for the people and you say that, oh, I am the solution. It takes one person to do this. It like this
Could
democracy thing
be,
is
but
not fast enough to do stuff like this. It provides a perfect palette for Trump to take over, right? Like, yeah, I don't know. That's
it
just
could
my
be like
theory.
historically there have been and I would say that it just might be retardation in your case. So I wouldn't really just make like such deep geopolitical analysis here. I don't really know
Hmm.
what's although I can't really discard what you say either because what's the point then? Like, there's like very little any sense to it, and you have to like come up with some sort of sense. Like, why is he doing that, right? Like, why is he alienating his like closest allies, for example, such as Canada, for absolutely no fucking literally reason? It makes things more expensive for them. It makes things more expensive for you. It makes literal trade war right now for with Canada for no reason, like no, absolutely none.
No
And
reason.
if you think about, yeah, if you think about the any reason that there can be, like your version, I guess, can be. But I would say though that usually you have to create an outside enemy or an inside enemy, right? So you have to like both, even better. Yeah,
We
if
have
we
both.
can have both.
We have many
Yeah,
of
yeah,
both, actually. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So you can have both, and you can have like that being like it's their fault. I see so many like Americans right now saying like, "Oh, Canada, like if they're gonna do this, like impact all our electricity and our like power grid and all of that. It's them like hurting us. It's their fault." And you're like, "No, you fucking started it, dude. Like they didn't do it. It's you started it." And the
Dude.
anger, right, is placed upon them instead
Yeah,
of
it's
placing upon a
never
person
Trump. It's
who
it's
started
it's
it.
exactly. It's just like it's so retarded.
Yeah,
It's
so
actually so retarded. It's
doesn't it
just
doesn't it remind you of something? Of something else? Of placing the blame on people who didn't start things instead of placing it on people who did. So that's like a same logic essentially. That's how you go with like, oh, Ukraine, they're prolonging the war. It's their fault that people are dying. Instead of saying like, well, actually, it's the fault of the person who did the invasion and annexation and occupation and mass murder and crimes and bombing
yeah.
of hundreds of cities to the ground. That's who started the war.
It
But if you're not even given that, then at that point,
yeah, it's
what
like
you doing?
it's like having somebody break into your house with a shotgun, and then you're like, "Oh shit, the Glock is upstairs." You run up, you go and get the Glock, and then like you just remember your friend telling you, "Oh, when somebody breaks in, don't resist. If you resist, you'll die. Oh, like you don't want to." And then meanwhile, this guy is out to kill you. This guy with the shotgun is literally out to kill you, and you're like with the Glock, you're like, "Hey, maybe if you play nice, maybe he won't kill you." It's like it's just like no one would ever apply this logic anywhere else. They wouldn't. They just would not apply this logic, but they apply it to you guys. Like it just makes no sense to me. It's just like I'm like
See,
going insane like talking about this.
this used to be like a cringy as fuck, like pacifist, hippie, lefty talking point, unironically. But
Point.
now it's
Yeah.
the MAGA talking point. Like you would think that conservatives with their fucking my guns and First
It's
Amendment
like
and like whatever the fucking founding fathers and all of that shit. Like you think they would be like understanding because, for example, you guys when you didn't want to pay fucking kin in Britain and all of that shit, you were like, fuck that crap. We're like, we are doing the resistance and we are like getting our own independence and nobody rolled over. Also, you solicited France to help you quite a
the
lot.
same
They
people,
they
the exact same people who would go like, "Oh, the tea party was great because we were tossing tea like overboard and stuff like that," right? The same people who say that are probably going like, "Oh, why did the Ukrainians like overthrow the last like Ukrainian president? Why did they
Yes,
do that?"
because it's
Bitch,
allowed for
they
you,
had an even more
but it's
valid
not allowed
reason. Like
for us. Yes. It's very blatant. Like the people,
what?
for example, who I debate. I don't know if you could call that debate, to be honest,
What's
but
your thoughts on
the
lactoid? Your
lactoid
thoughts on
group.
lactoid? Your thoughts on lactoid? Go.
Oh my God, what are my
Smack talking
thoughts
right
on
now.
that
Smack
guy?
talking right now. Yeah. Mhm.
I am Anastasia. My name is Anastasia. I'm from Kharkiv, Ukraine, which is like quite close to the front in the east. And I am a volunteer primarily. I do like fundraisers for the army, for the soldiers, all that sort of thing. Sometimes appear and talk with people like here. I think he's no, you know what he is actually. He's like you know how people say like Eminem, he's like good at throwing like bars at a very high speed, like a lot of lines, right? I think he does that with Russian propaganda. He like wants to be an Eminem of Russian propaganda. He would like stand in front of the mirror perhaps sometimes and repeat how many Russian propaganda talking points he can throw in 1 minute. Like a fucking professional. I gotta respect, okay? I honestly have to respect. Some people just blubbing nonsense, but this guy, he's like this doesn't pop. He's
Dude, and
like
he
doing
does
the
these like
fucking
retarded debate bro like
yeah.
strategies and shit. And not only that, like he brought up the previous God. I keep on what was the previous Ukrainian president guy name? God, I keep on forgetting his name.
Yanukovych.
Is it
Hmm.
Yanukovych? He's better
Fuck
off
that guy.
forgotten.
Doesn't matter.
Okay, Yanukovych. Like
Hmm.
he okay. I didn't understand a lot of things that he was talking about, but one thing I did understand was Yanukovych, right? So then he brought up Yanukovych, and I'm just like, this is the example you're going to? Like, I can't believe you
Yeah.
actually have the audacity to bring that up because this guy, I'm pretty sure he was firing into the protesters, right? Like he was ordering snipers
Under
to
his
to
orders,
fire
yes,
into
yes.
the protesters.
Hmm.
If if people were using free speech and they were getting fired upon for free speech in the United States, you would also advocate for overthrowing the ruler. You would also advocate for storming the Capitol, right? And then I'm just like, I can't believe the audacity of that example is so insane to me. Like,
Yeah, and having a flag of the United
what?
States behind you. Like that's
Fake
so
flag.
cringe.
Okay, the first thing I'm gonna do
Yeah.
once I get to my new place, is I'm gonna put a flag behind me, an American flag. All right, because I need to take back the meaning of patriotism. Okay, I need to take that back because Republicans
Do it.
have smeared the American spirit. They need to die. I'm sorry, not die. Okay, they need to fuck off forever. Okay, all right. This is look. Listen,
That's a good substitute.
listen, I can see your lines on your flags. Okay, you just took it out. Okay, I can see it. Okay, all right. You're not a user of
Mhm.
the flag like me. Okay, I'm a true patron of the arts. I'm a true patron of American patriotism. Okay, wait, hold on, real quick question. So during the debate, right?
Yes.
Do you remember Dylan talking about the T-80s, right? The tanks, the T-80s, the refurbished tanks and whatever, right?
Yeah, the
What's
subject I
what
tried
what's
to get them off of because I don't
what's
want
the
to
deal?
get bugged fucking down on fucking tanks.
Yeah,
Yeah,
what's the deal
yeah, but
behind
anyhow.
that? What's like I'm a little bit confused on that. Is it that Russia is running low and then they're having like
I
these
think
really
the
crappy
argument,
Soviet level tanks out? Like, is that what's happening?
I will say, I don't give a like fuck about that. Like, it's not a
Mm-hmm.
war of tanks. I tried to make this point
War
like
of
multiple
tanks.
times, but
Yeah.
yeah, but nobody really like listened to it. They just, they're man. They like to talk about the fucking tanks. Nothing you
Oh
can
my
do
god.
about it. But
Okay,
at the
okay.
end of
Tell
the, yeah,
Dylan.
it's
Tell
just a
Dylan that he needs to stop concentrating on manly things like tanks. Okay.
Unironically, yeah. I mean, I understand he got triggered because the point was absolute like crap. The point of the lactate and no smoker was basically that Russia is producing more arms than NATO, which is like absolute retardation on like multiple levels. And that's what got that, Dylan, poor Dylan, so fucking triggered at them, obviously, right? But mostly they are talking about the production of tanks that are, and also the using the reserve. Basically what they're using
Mm-hmm.
is what they have stockpiles from the Soviet Union days, or the productions of the 70s, for example, like 80s, and even early, like 50s, 60s tanks. We even saw 40s tanks, unironically, a couple of
What?
times
Like
as well.
World War
So they,
II tier
yes,
tanks?
yes, so they busted that shit like from museum or some shit, I don't know, like, and they have
Dude.
been using, yeah, using a lot of that. And you can also, they also have like a factories to repurpose that stuff. So basically you
Oh,
can
right.
modernize them, I guess, in some way.
Mm-hmm.
Like but that's what they were talking about, because they have, true that they have quite a lot of units like that to repurpose. But like I said, at the end of the day, it's not the war of tanks. It never was. It's a war of drones and artillery. That's what it's
It
the war of, and
you
that's
you
what you
know
need to win in this war.
what would be funny right now is if if China, all right, listen, my ancestral home, okay, China would invade Russia out of nowhere because they would be like, this is our opportunity. They're cut off from the world and everybody hates them,
I
okay?
mean,
Let's go. Let's take that land, okay? So,
China
it
might actually be thinking that. We never know, we know the racist meme about Asians. You can't say what they're thinking. So
mhm.
by looking
No,
at their faces,
it's
yeah, yeah, yes. So
no,
that's
no.
kind of like sort of China, unironically though. Mhm.
China understands that soft power is the way to take
Yes,
advantage of other
yes, yes, yes.
countries.
Yeah,
Is that
they
when
wait.
you
It's the waiting game,
yeah,
basically. Yeah,
yeah. And
it's
they
the waiting
also
game.
yeah, and they also understand Taiwan is not theirs either, right? Like they understand all of these like different concepts. So it's like
For now.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
right
Hmm.
now, they looked up for the reaction of the United States to and Europe to what happened in
Hmm.
Ukraine. Definitely looked quite close to that. They also
Yeah.
are soft core assisting Russia, so not as blatantly as, for example, Iran does or North Korea, but they soft core assist Russia as well, and we all know it. It's not a secret to anyone, obviously, right? But at the same time, they're not putting all their eggs in one basket, and that basket
Hmm.
being Russia is a poor investment, to say the least.
Hmm.
I also was pretty certain they would not mind if Russia like just bankrupted and fell apart. They have like a lot of sites on their territory, and on the resources there as well. So I'd say that China is not really in support of anyone. They're like a observer that just wants to solicit something that is useful for them for the situation. And also, of course, they have their sights on Taiwan for obvious reasons, both nationalistic, ethno reasons, and also the reasons of their, superiority ideas, but also the chips and all of that, like the technological stuff that they do want to obviously to have. And in that sense, of course, people like Trump right now are giving
Mm-hmm.
them quite a certain green light that the United States will do fuck all if Taiwan is invaded in that sense. And that's also obviously not a good precedent at all, because people like China, they have like sites on like Mearsheimer sort of like vision, like of having spheres of influence and
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So I wouldn't put it past them that they're now actually like doing some stuff behind the scenes, because I saw China making a statement that what Trump is doing towards Europe in the United States doing towards Ukraine in terms of like negotiations without Ukraine is
Mm-hmm.
disgusting. And I was like, oh my God, what the fuck? What game are they playing
Because
now? And yeah,
because
yeah, it's
they
just
know it would advantage them in the long run or something like that. They're like,
in Europe now, yeah, because they're now
yeah,
thinking like, so Europe is
hmm,
losing the interest in the United States as their
hmm,
hegemony. They also are losing interest in weaponry that United States makes, because who wants to rely on weapon systems that the United States can turn off in the most inopportune time? Like they did with us, right? So it's
right.
it's nobody really wants to rely on that. Like F-16's gonna drop in the production, so Starlink will probably lose a lot of money as well, because again, who wants to rely on that technology if Elon can fucking turn it off as a whim when he feels like it, right? It's not a reliable partnership, especially when you are at war. So people will look elsewhere. They will try to use their own production now in Europe, obviously, but also maybe Turkey will join the dance, let so to speak. And China, I think, also can seize that opportunity to appeal to many countries to see them as a protector and as a main weapons dealer, for example. And that's something they could really use right now. Unfortunately, in my opinion, because I obviously don't want China to get any more powerful than they are. But it is a mistake of United States, most and foremost, to push people towards other bigger powers, right, in the world. And
There's yeah, they're
after
still
United
very
States, I think,
expansionist as well. Yeah. Hmm.
yeah, after United States, I
Yeah.
think China has the biggest GDP and has the biggest, like, say, potential in terms of like arms dealing. And because of that, it's likely even that maybe some sort of relations will grow out of it between China and Europe. Who knows?
Okay, this is just a random fun question. I don't even know why Mongolia is in between Russia and China. Like when I look at Mongolia and I'm like, why hasn't anybody annexed Mongolia yet? Do you ever think
Thanks.
about that?
Don't give them fucking ideas. That's basically like what Russia is
It doesn't
talking
have
about.
nuclear. It doesn't have. Oh, really? It doesn't have nuclear
Yes, they have
weapons.
been.
It's in between two very expansionist superpowers, right? And I'm just here wondering, like, are they just like chilling on the meadows? Like, are they just like chilling with the horses? Like, what's going on here? You know? I don't
Kinda,
know.
kinda, because Mongolia is basically like have been sort of requesting like a
Hmm.
protectionist kind of attitude from China, which China does provide. So I think for Russia to actually like straight up attack them would be a little bit mental because of that. Because like you said yourself, China is exercising more of a soft core imperialism than they are exercising good old fashioned we will attack you imperialism right now. Maybe it will change in the
Mm.
future, but for now they're definitely are much more. So for example, they have been quite significantly building their influence in Kazakhstan, in
Oh.
Mongolia, in countries that are of Asian descent and racially close to China, obviously ethnically. So they would try to like build their power there that way. So I don't think that Russia would want to fuck with that, at least not now, considering how bad they're doing. currently.
Yeah, I
Um,
actually see a comment that might explain it. Chinchilla says Mongolia wants to join Russia, but Russia doesn't want to anger China. Maybe that's the case, you know.
yeah, yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, so
Oh,
Mongolia also have been in the sights basically of China as far as interests go. But also, I wouldn't make loud proclamation that Mongolia wants to join Russia because they have been making moves against that since 22.
oh, okay.
So yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm,
they want to be independent, obviously. Yeah. Um,
mhm.
dude, okay. There, what have you ever talked to me about how your grandparents fared under the Russians?
You mean like my parents, grandparents, how they lived in Soviet Union, or that?
Like because
We did
you're
speak about that. Yes,
like
I remember.
obviously
I think.
you said you would rather die than live under Russian occupation,
Yeah,
which
that's true.
implies that
Hmm.
Russian occupation in the past is so terrible to the point where you want to die rather than be under that. What was that like in the past?
I would say it's a controversial probably thing to say, but I will say that later stages of the Soviet Union weren't as
Mm-hmm.
bad as Russian occupation would be for Ukraine today. Because in if you talk about like Stalin shit, then 100%
Yeah.
yes, that would
Mm-hmm.
be yeah, that would be pretty fucking bad. But if
But
you
you're
speak
talking about
about the uh,
Gorbachev, right? Yeah.
yeah, if you speak about later stages of Soviet Union, they weren't good by any means, but
Mm-hmm.
they were much easing out on like there weren't really like mass executions, mass deportations that much. They weren't really like mass graves. They weren't really like mass arrests of people. That's something that was happening quite a lot before that, and it's happening now under Russian occupation as well. And so there's also you have to also kind of understand that there's like a fresh antagonism towards us now, and
Mm-hmm.
it's a completely different situation if you have been like, for example, Russia occupied reoccupied, I guess you could say, Ukraine after Russian Empire dissolved, right? Ukraine declared independence, and there has been like a war between all of that. It's a long story, but long story short, during after Red Revolution in Russia, when communists Bolsheviki came to power, they
Right.
basically occupied Kiev and Ukraine, in part of Ukraine as well. And then all of that actually came to be Poland fucked us over as it usually does, and they kind of like basically separated us between Poland and Russia to separate Ukraine in two pieces, basically, which ironically is what Russia then did to Poland with Germans. So I don't know, call it karma, maybe. I'm not sure,
It's a whole mess.
but
That's what
point.
it is. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a whole mess. It's a whole mess.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But point. The broader point though is that there's a difference between those periods that is significant in terms
Yeah,
of like how
Gorbachev was
people were
chill.
treated.
Yeah, he was chill. A little bit
I
more
mean, it
chill,
was
a
like
little
a
bit more chill.
decaying empire, and it was also in the terms of the Cold War with the United States. It has been like pretty difficult in terms of like keeping up that like hardcore like totalitarian regime because of
Hmm.
all the all the, also there has been such a phenomenon that the Iron Curtain, I think you say. I always
Oh,
confuse
Iron
certain with
Curtain.
curtain. Oh, my
Oh,
fault.
curtain.
Okay,
The Iron Curtain.
similar.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
split.
Iron
Yeah.
Curtain,
Hmm.
yes, has fallen ever since people actually, unironically, just saw with their own eyes how Europe has been living this whole time. Because they have made it as soldiers, right, to to Europe, right, to other countries in Europe, and even it was a big revelation for many people upon returning then to learn
Hmm.
that most of things they have been taught was a fucking lie, right, and they have been panicking about it, and then they have been arrested and thrown into gulags. So that's a whole other situation. But
Jesus.
yeah, but that's a whole other thing. It's actually happened to my father.
Oh,
Well,
okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. He
Because
was thrown in
now,
a
yeah.
camp.
Yeah, because before just being simply thrown in jail would have actually been a good thing compared to now, because now things are just horrible. Because I've actually been thinking about this as well. Is because I think I think the Russians are intent on committing genocide. I think that's actually what they're actually aiming for, is genocide.
I
Because
think they already in the process of it. It's just
the
delayed, but
process, yeah,
our resistance. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
So, for
and
example, the mass
mhm,
abduction of children. is right
That's the
there,
one
like
point
on the nose.
that's on
Yeah.
the nose. That is the one point that's on the nose, right? Because
Hmm.
here's the thing, because the old world conquerors, okay? They are people who just want land. They just want land, they just want land, right? Um However, I've never seen eradication of like the religious institutions, eradication of the political structures, of they're targeting civilians. They have death camps, death chambers, whatever, right, for Ukrainians, and it's very reminiscent of stuff like the Bosnian genocide, for example, like similar sexual torture, right? All of that kind of stuff. So,
Yeah,
I'm
massacres, all
seeing
of
these
that.
same
Yeah.
patterns kind of pop up as well. Yeah.
It's basically like it's quite simple, honestly, because what the declaration was at the beginning of the war is
Hmm.
to essentially eradicate identity, Ukrainian identity
Identity.
as a
Yeah.
concept, right? So that comes down to you won't eradicate all the people because that's a little bit over the top.
Hmm.
Most people
A,
don't
a little
actually
bit too
do that
Hitler.
sort of
A
thing.
little bit too on the nose
Yeah,
Hitler. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, because people are a little bit like funny when they speak about this because everyone compares everything to Hitler, sometimes good, sometimes not really great, because not
Hmm.
everything is Hitler, not every
Not
genocide
everything.
is
No.
fucking Holocaust.
Hmm.
Holocaust is the worst of them, but it's not the only genocide, right? If you speak about like Armenian genocide, for example, right, it's a completely different thing. It's entirely different from what happened to in the Holocaust, right? There were no gas chambers. There were not no there weren't even a mass like purposeful eradication of people, like actually like, killing them, right? But
Hmm.
it was pushing them out, killing a fuck ton of them and pushing the rest out with the explicit goal to eliminate that population from the Turkish empire, right? So that's a completely different situation, but we still consider that to be genocide because the ultimate goal was the destruction of that
The
identity,
erasure of
essentially,
the
right?
identity. Yeah, exactly. And
Yeah, yeah,
you
yeah.
know, this
And
is yeah, this is why the Hitler Holocaust comparisons don't always work, because there are lots of other genocides throughout history that are much more similar to what's going on right now. Like for example,
yeah,
when China
so
is going after
keep
the
in
Uyghur
mind.
Muslims, it's more similar as well. Yeah.
Yes, yes. So keep in
Hmm.
mind it doesn't have to be like eradication of like millions and
No.
bajillions of people. Okay, it doesn't have to be like that, and it can be like the number doesn't really even matter that much. It's the intent. What's the purpose of the actions, right? What's the goal that the perpetrator is having when they're doing that? Because you can kill a fuck ton of civilians and it not be a genocide because that was a collateral damage, right?
It's about the
Not
intent.
your actual.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's very
Hmm.
difficult sometimes to say, obviously, because many people don't declare the fucking intent like Hitler did. Again, to return back to Hitler, like not everyone is like that unhinged, but also
No.
about the Hitler as well. He wasn't like that at the beginning. He wasn't like so loud and proud in the beginning because he didn't know if he will be able to. He just only started to be loud and proud when he was almost entirely certain that he's winning and he has all the power and all the mechanisms in Europe to take it and to do whatever the fuck he wanted. So when the
Right.
death camps will full on build it up in Poland, for example, it was at the time when they were like certain that they will be able to achieve their aims, right? So in that sense, with Russia, they're kind of like blatant about it, much more blatant than you would expect in 21st century, because they loudly and proudly say they want to eliminate the Ukrainian they call them elites or something like that, but they basically is the part of the genocidal intent. They
Fake
remove
identity, right?
aristocracy,
Ukrainians
or
are
yeah,
fake.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
all that.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah, you remove the top people, then you remove layers and layers and layers. And basically, kind of what happened is that the most obvious like thing is that the original intent wasn't to kill millions of Ukrainians. That wasn't the original intent. The original
Hmm.
intent was to come here to maybe kill like and deport and imprison like couple hundreds of people in the political elites, right? To remove
Hmm.
all the political people that have been elected democratically by the Ukrainian people, right? And then you
Right.
also kill a couple thousands of very active people that are resistant, right? So it would be that usually how you do it, right? That's the easy mechanism. That mechanism failed because they underestimated just how much support the people, the Ukrainian government had, and also the Ukrainian identity, how strong it was, right? So many people they will now have to. So the rhetoric then shifted from evil Nazi banderites that are basically, they would say Kiev regime, for example. They would say the regime, right, of Kiev. And then the rhetoric shifted. Okay, it's not just the Kiev regime. It's not just Zelensky and his evil banderite government. It's also like 100,000s of Ukrainian Nazi, whatever, right, nationalist soldiers, right? And people
Azov,
like
yeah.
Azov, people like that, battalions. Yeah. So now the goal shifted. You goalpost, right? You have to like kill, I guess you could say thousands, 10, 20, 30,000 of people, right? But then you realize it actually happened in real time, the shift of rhetoric, if you look through the time, right? And they're like, oh, fuck. So it's not just 100,000s of people. It's actually millions of Ukrainians that are supporting the, 500,000 people volunteered to go to the army, right? You have like a fuck ton of like people who are locally making Molotov cocktails, who are like volunteering, making nets for the soldiers, cooking food for the soldiers. Like you have like a fuck ton, like a half a society at least being like extremely active in the support of the. And then you think, well, now at this point, rhetoric then shifts. You have actually need to kill a fuck ton of those people, and they will be like, you have to freeze them to death by attacking their like power stations, their heating systems. You shift
Yes.
rhetoric to their children that die, and you say, well, that's good because the children will be. They said it. They actually said it. The children will grow up to be like anti-Russian banderites. So now we are step even further. We are now starting to say that the murder of children is fine and dandy because we are basically doing a preventative cleaning operation, so to speak, right?
Right, right,
So
right.
the
Yeah.
rhetoric grows and grows, and then it becomes like full-on genocidal at that point, because initially you wanted like a much easier operation, but now you see that you can't do it. You can't do it without destroying the national identity of Ukraine. You have to break that back, basically, if you want to have control over that population.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you only can do it if you eliminate mass amounts of people. You either deport them, you may imprison them, you may kill a fuck ton, you may terrorize the population to such an extent that the rest becomes conformist and basically gives up.
Yeah,
That's how
because
we do it.
when we look at Hitler, he went all the way to the extreme really fast. Like he went, okay, I'm gonna just skip to the death camp stage, right? But then if you look at, for
Yeah.
example, because you mentioned all this stuff, and I'll give two really great examples. Okay, number one, the Bosnian genocide. They were targeting men specifically. They were mowing down men. Like they targeted women as well, but like the men, because there were people of fighting
Women were
age.
mostly sexual violence against women, yeah, but they were
Yeah, exactly.
eliminating young men, yeah.
Right,
Hmm.
right, right. Because eliminating young men, right? And then for the Rwandan genocide, they did genocidal rape. So what they did was that they got people with STDs and AIDS and stuff like that to rape the woman. So the woman would get the STDs, and then now the babies that come out are diseased and won't survive, and that's how you kill off the future generations. Is that you don't need to kill all of them. You don't need to go after all of
That's
them. You can
difficult.
just do
That's
enough to
difficult to
kill
do.
their future, right? You just need to do enough to kill their future, and by doing so, you secure yourself, right? For example, for Ukraine, now what do? You can just have Russian men with STDs go in, rape a bunch of Ukrainian women, right? You also move the babies all the way to Russia and then have them grow under Russian culture. You dismantle the
Yeah,
religious
rename them. Yeah.
institutions, get rid of like the head of government, right? Definitely kill Zelensky, right? And then after all that happens, bam, Ukrainian identity, it's gone. All right, just another sad tale in history, right? So yeah, this is pretty
That's how
much
they
this is how I see it.
That's kind of how they did it historically in before in Ukraine, because in other in other people they subjugated as well. You I would say like killing all the people is very costly, so it's kind of like it's a big investment. And for example, not everyone is so unhinged as Hitler was to actually industrialize murder that way. And
Make
yeah,
the thing, yes, it's just what the fuck, yeah,
yeah, and not
yeah.
not only that, but also invest so much money into it that actually like hurt his military campaign. So he was so invested in like murder of Jews
So
that
stupid.
he sabotaged his whole fucking military even. So
The
that's pretty
Bosnians, they
crazy.
just gunned them down. That's it. All they did was gun them down. And then for Rwandan, is
Yeah.
they just got the swords, right? That's it. They just like slice people open. That's it.
They also Nazis also did that in with Ukrainians and Belarusian people, for example. Mass murder of them as well was mostly just death walling. So you put people to the wall in mass and you shoot them, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that's kind of how they killed millions of people here.
It's cost
And
efficient. Yeah.
yeah. So, but also again, for example, Nazi plan for the Slavs was for Ukrainians like Belarus was like to basically like half the population. So you kind of like half them, and you use the other half for like labor, for example. So that was kind of like the vision, I guess you could say. And they implemented that vision in Belarus because they halved the population basically there. But they
Jeez.
didn't really manage as much in Ukraine. Only I think like about 5 million people died in civilian population in Ukraine during occupation of Nazis. So only, yeah. So that's just
Only 5 million? Yeah, okay.
about the
You're
five
talking about the
million number, yeah,
Holodomor,
of
right?
civilian. No,
The
Nazi occupation that happened
Oh
after
shit. So
Holodomor.
both.
Yeah.
So you have Holodomor and then you have
Yes.
Nazi
Yes.
occupation. You're till 10 million in total,
Yeah.
basically.
Around.
That's fucked
Yeah.
up.
Around
That's
there.
fucked up.
Yeah.
Yeah,
A little
that's
less.
fucked up.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely fucked
Yeah. That
up. Yeah,
is.
for sure. Yeah.
So in that sense, of course,
Um,
I do appreciate like people who at least like can understand that there are other methods than just straight up like murder of everyone, which is a difficult task
no,
and it's a
it's
costly
it's
task,
very
and most
difficult.
people don't really do it.
Why would you spend so
Hmm.
much money on cyanide? It's just like, for example, like they use Zyklon B, whatever, right? Like it's just that stuff takes time and money to manufacture. Okay, like a bullet is easy. Like Zyklon B is hard. All right, it's just yeah.
There
Again,
are
is he's obsessed with
different
it. Yeah.
methods. For example, like Soviet Russia really loved their
Mhm.
deportations. That was like really
Yeah.
one of the methods they really loved because it's kind of like for example, you would deport people in Siberia or like Kazakhstan or something like that, and then you would replace people with Russians here. So that's how you get big Russian population spikes. It also helps with the Russification, which was very important for their program, right, of eliminating Ukrainian language and Ukrainian culture and Ukrainian identity. They succeeded in that, for example, in Belarus, that pretty much lost their language at this point. There are like barely any people who even speak it. So in that sense, it's quite sophisticated. I would say that Soviet methods and Russian methods are a little bit more sophisticated in Soviet days than Hitler ones were.
Yeah,
But
a
then
lot
again,
more.
they
Yeah.
did it within. But then again, they did it within their own population mostly. So it wasn't
Right.
like within the population they controlled, right? The population they
Mhm.
occupied, which is where Hitler was an ambitious little guy. He was like, we kill them Jews everywhere. So
Well,
it's
he
really,
was very mentally
yeah.
ill. Okay, like he was
I mean, yes, but
like I would say he
Stalin
almost
was
had an
also mentally
OC.
ill, but not so
True,
unhinged.
true,
Yeah.
he did it in such an inefficient way to the point where the only conclusion can be that he had some kind of compulsive obsession with killing Jews. Like he had a really big compulsive obsession almost,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
With Putin, I
Everyone who
don't
knew
see.
Stalin
Yeah, Putin's different.
Everyone who knew
And
Stalin in person knew that he was still was like a psychopath. Basically, he was like completely
paranoid,
devoid of like human empathy or like
very
emotion or
paranoid.
anything
Yeah,
like that. So
yeah.
Hitler was not like that. He was like pretty emotional kind of guy. He was in the feels.
I've
Okay, yeah. So
I've heard some speeches. I've heard some Hitler's speeches in English. So AI is a wonderful thing.
oh
It
yeah,
translated all of his angry speeches into English, and when you hear it back,
would
he
better
was
listen in German. Honestly, it's much more
better.
spicy in German just with the subtitles.
Oh
Yeah,
no, I
I
know.
suggest the end.
I know, but
Yeah.
like when I hear the English, I'm like, God, this guy's so whiny. Like he's just like, can you stop fucking complaining for like 5 seconds?
Yeah, he's like
You're like a
he was a
child. You're
complainer.
so annoying, right? This victim complex, like this humongous victim complex, he's so insecure. It's very clear he's a very insecure person, and he's
Mm.
just very mentally ill as well. I'm seeing the same pattern with people like Putin and Trump who wants to flaunt their masculinity, right? These people are like just
Yeah,
really mentally ill
yeah.
people as well. Yeah, it's like a self victim. Oh, Russia's the victim, the America's the victim. Okay, like okay, okay, buddy. Yeah.
You have like there are different methods of aggravating the crowd. I would say some people like banked on the complex of prosecution or like the victimhood or things like that. That was pretty big in Germany because of the how let's say mistreated they were after World War One, for example, and how they felt like they have been humiliated and truly like faulted, slighted by like everyone, other people in Europe as well. And there's always a lot of like hatred build up on that.
Mm-hmm.
And this victimhood complex really did help to actually like bring people in support of Hitler because they kind of shared that feeling that he had, like that things of inferiority that they replaced with the idea of the superiority, right? So
Mm-hmm.
they felt inferior actually, but they wanted to feel superior, right? As they
Right.
used to be before
Yeah.
when they have been the big bad in
The
the
the, the
area.
the the
So yeah,
Prussian Empire, the Prussian kingdom, right?
Germany was definitely like the one of the like most prominent powers, and because
Conquerors,
of
yeah.
their pretty significant loss in
Yeah.
like World War One, and then the resolution of it was something that really picked people, and you have that sort of not exactly the same, not at all, but something similar in Russia in a sense that they do also
Russification.
have this.
Yeah.
Yeah, they also have this
Mm-hmm.
sort of like feeling that they are slighted because they used to be this like big, great, big bad empire that everyone feared.
USSR, right? Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
It's like, oh, this
And now,
democracy type shit is weak. All right. Yeah.
mhm. And
Yeah.
now, as much as they scream about their greatness and as much as they're obsessed with the superiority of Russian culture and all of that, I mean, as much as they like, I don't know the analogous English word, but pissed out, which is like I don't know. It's like fucking chit chat, but much more ruder. Like
Mm-hmm.
kanti talk, I guess, is the best thing to the translation I
Yap.
could I could come up with.
Yapping.
As much as they do that, yeah, they kanti yapping. They as much as they do that, they inside them they do feel slighted because their fucking economy is the size of a what of like a California of like one state in the United States. So as much as they like paint themselves as this like huge like vicious bear that that can do some stuff, they can only do stuff to the much weaker people than them.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
how
exactly.
cool is that? I don't know. It's not really that empowering in my opinion. And
Do you
yeah,
how how do you think Russia will encroach upon NATO countries? Like, let's just say that, okay, God forbid, okay, Ukraine gets taken over. Now they're setting their sights on Poland, right? How do you think they're gonna do it? Because the thing is like,
uh,
like
best
they
idea.
how?
They have it in sight, 100%. That's
Yeah,
not a
of
conversation. They
course.
have it in sight, but
Yeah,
it's a
even to
long
East
game.
Germany, maybe.
Y-
Yeah, yeah.
You have like two things that really Putin really wants: the restoration of the empire, and it's
Hmm.
also what a lot of Russians want as well because they share the expansionism, the imperialist ambitions of Putin. He didn't come out of nowhere.
He's getting
Nobody
old.
does.
Yeah,
Um,
he's getting old. Yeah,
Yeah, but yeah, but problem it's not him. It's Russia. So they can
it's
find
Russia.
someone else
Yeah.
just as unhinged. So yeah, it's not that big of a. It's not like Putin as is the bigger problem here. He is a problem obviously, but he's not. He's a product of his society, just like Trump is. Sorry to say, but that's the
Nope,
truth.
that's true.
Yeah,
I mean, you're not gonna
yeah,
find any disagreement with me. Yeah.
yeah. So in that sense, what you do is you really need like two main things. First
Hmm.
main thing, you need to weaken the West as much as you can politically. So you do that with using someone like Trump, for example,
Hmm.
someone who is like easily to buy with like flattery, with money, who is someone who's corrupt enough to undermine the hegemony of United States in the West. So, for
Yes.
example, destruction of NATO is their biggest wet dream. Is like the biggest Russian wet dream that ever was wet dreaming. So
Right.
that's something that really is what they want, and they want the people to be disillusioned with that. They want the population to be negative towards NATO and organizations like that. They want to cut off the spending towards the military. Because if you think about it, like all the parties that Russia supports, for example, AFD in Germany, right? they all, Le Pen in France, they're all NATO skeptics. So they all are against NATO, and they also are against expanding on military. So they're all basically are tools to weaken the European Union and to make it more susceptible, right? And breaking off UK, for example, people like
Mm-hmm.
Farage were like literally like eye in Russians' pockets, right? So people who advocated to removing United Kingdom from Europe is to make Europe much weaker, and UK as well as a both of them have been weakened by that. So that's what you do on a political stage. You
Mm-hmm.
basically undermine the unity within Europe and between European Union. For example, not right now, Trump is historically destroying the relationship between European Union and United States that have been thriving for 80 years, right? For nearly like and since the World War II ended, that has been
Yeah.
the kind of like the world building, right? The how the world looks, right? With the United States as a hegemon, with the United States as
Mm-hmm.
a like default protector of the Western world, right? And with this partnership between Europe and between Canada and between United States and all of that, right? So you destroy that. That's your best shot, and you also, in the meanwhile, expand your human sources. So you have, for example, Ukraine. You have, for example, countries that are not in NATO and that you already have a precedent of attacking. Let's say Moldova, let's say Georgia, let's say you fully take control of, not partially, but fully take control, like Armenia and Belarus, that are already technically barely sovereign countries as is, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you all of that adds what? It adds millions of people you can use as your human resource, as your human resource to attack, let's say, Baltics, for example. And now, if you, with all of that human resource, with all of that intelligence, of all of that material, they much rather use us than they would use Russians themselves. Because using Russians themselves, it causes
Drama.
agitation within the country.
Yeah.
Yeah, it causes drama, ironically.
Causes
Yeah, because
drama.
people are dying, right? Yeah, you don't want that. You want the population to be happy that there are wars, because these are wars they can cheer on, but these are wars they are not participating in, right? So for average like fascist dude in Moscow, he is cheering on destruction of Ukraine only if he's not on the fucking front lines. As soon
Exactly.
he is thrown
Yes.
on the front line, he's no longer cheering. He's not going to
Because
be
you have people rebelling. You have people like I mean obviously
conditions to cheer.
they can't overthrow Putin in the end, but like the thing is that they get disenfranchised, right? The moment they see the actual
Yeah.
conditions of the war and how savage it is, they get
So
disenfranchised. Yeah.
that's, by the way, why Russia smartly tries to use people from marginalized parts of the country, from the poorest
Mm-hmm.
parts of the country, for example, from Asian parts of the country. You rarely would see people from Moscow or St. Petersburg or anything like that on the front. Like
No.
mostly,
Privileged
almost
ass,
never.
white ass, pasty motherfuckers. Exactly. They're
Yep,
not
yep, yep,
gonna.
yep. Uh,
Nah, cowards.
yeah,
Yes.
so you much rather use people that unfortunately nobody in Russia gives a fuck about, so they're expendable, right? And they're also poor enough and desperate enough that you can pay them money and they will go anywhere, honestly, to just escape the fucking shitholes they live in, right? So that also can be applied to using millions of people in Ukraine. We have a big population relatively to Europe, right? We use Moldova, Georgia, yes, are small, but still you can solicit hundreds of thousands of people from there to also throw on the throne, right?
And you guys
And
also have the military
that's,
infrastructure. So, like, after it
yeah,
takes over,
yeah,
occupied,
very useful. Yeah,
use the same
them,
exact
definitely.
weapons against Europe. And Europe doesn't have shit compared to Ukraine, right? Like, in terms
Yes,
of
yeah, yes, yes,
military
yes, yes.
power,
We are the
right?
biggest
Like,
army in the world, or sorry, in the world, in Europe, So
in
we are the
Europe,
biggest
yeah,
army in
yeah.
Europe.
And
Yeah, so that's
it's
why.
so it's crazy because Europe is next on the chopping block. You don't have an army. How the fuck are you
Yeah,
supposed to repel the Russian army once they start coming in? What are you gonna do? Start lobbing nuclear bombs, right? Like oh, like what are you gonna do? What are you
you
gonna
do
do,
have
right? Like
You do have another thing, though. That's
mhm.
two main things I would say, like dismantle the West from within. Also, you have gather human resources that you will
Mhm.
need, and the third thing is undermine. It ties with the first thing, but undermine, for example, NATO and Article 5 and all of that, and
Yeah.
also use nuclear terrorism. So basically, spook the fuck out of everyone with your threats of nuclear strikes, which they did already. Congrats to them.
It
They
works so
succeeded.
well. It works so well. And here's the
Yes.
thing. And I think going forward, this is the argument that people on the pro-Ukrainian side has to make. The argument that people have to make is there are some things that are worse than nuclear war. If
It's a hard sell.
well, no, hold on,
It's
hold
a
on. Let me
hard
cook. Let me
sell.
cook. Let me
Yeah.
cook. Let me cook. Okay.
Okay, okay.
A world where an expansionist power can simply move forward just because they have nuclear weapons is arguably worse than nuclear war.
I don't think you will be selling that to anyone.
Fuck. Okay, well, the point is that it's fucked up, okay, right? Because it's like
I
because
understand what
so
you
many
mean, but
things so many things is just like automatically forgiven just because they have nuclear weapons. Like what is it? Like China gets to get away with genocide of their own. No one cares about that anymore, right? Everybody cares about Israel and Palestine Muslims getting killed, but then no one cares about the Muslims getting killed in China. So I don't even know what the fuck happened to that, right? And
yep.
then why? Because China has nuclear weapons. Oh, you have nuclear weapons. Oh, too bad. Well, we're not going to care about that anymore. Oh well, what can you really do? Like,
That's
it's fucked up.
kind of like creates a fucked up situation we're all in now, in a sense, because, for example, Russia is very good at using that nuclear rattling and threats and all of that to spook the
Kim
fuck
Jong
out
Un
of the
too.
people, and
Yeah,
then you
Kim Jong Un too. Yeah.
yeah, and that yeah, and then you have
uh,
that argument of people that we shouldn't really bother with Ukraine, for example, because Ukraine is not worth the nuclear warfare. And that's the
mhm,
argument you hear quite a lot. It's not usually said as so blatantly, but basically the
mhm.
point of that argument is like, fuck them Ukrainians, like who cares? It's not worth the nuclear Armageddon, right? And that's kind of like the point. But the problem with that point then is, so for example, let's say Russia attacks Baltics. Baltics don't have nuclear weapons, right? Lithuania,
They're
Latvia,
fucked.
Estonia, they don't have. The only people who have nuclear weapons in Europe right now are French, France, and that's it pretty much. Also, UK have them, but they're not in European Union anymore. So,
Really? France is the only
uh,
one that has them? I thought Germany had them. No?
mm,
No. Oh shit.
mm.
Okay,
So
well, we're really fucked then.
yeah,
I
so
think we're actually
yeah,
fucked.
so in that sort of situation, right? What do you have? Like the actual like nuclear the Western nuclear powers are United States, UK,
Hmm.
France, right? That's it. So you kind of like remove United States from it
Hmm.
through what I just mentioned before. You also remove UK from it. You already sort of did in a way, right? And then you have basically France, essentially, right? And now you are in a situation that basically, for example, you attack Baltics, right? With all your human resources you gathered, with all the things you did prior, right? And
Hmm.
now who stops France from saying, like, you know what? Article 5 doesn't exist anymore. Like, NATO isn't really a thing that much. Like, are Baltics, like those fucking Lithuanians, Estonians, Latvians, whatever the fuck they are they worth like a nuclear Armageddon? Hmm, I don't think so. So that's how you invade NATO countries. That's how you do it, essentially.
Yeah,
And there's no
it's
argument
yeah.
against that. Yeah, there's no
No.
argument against that because the exact same argument you applied to Ukraine can now be applied to Poland, to
And you can
Baltics,
keep
to
applying it
yeah,
forever. You can just keep on applying it forever until it takes over all of Europe. And then finally Putin
basically.
and his and whoever descendant of his is going to take the throne after him will achieve what Hitler have wanted his entire life, which is total domination over Europe. Europe finally united like the Roman Empire did back then, okay? Total Russification of Europe. Okay? It's just
I
like
mean,
it's
the
fucked up, but it is their goal,
they did have that sort of because of the
Mhm.
World War II, for example, right? The Western countries were celebrating the victory against the evil regimes, like the totalitarian regimes lost, fascism lost, Nazism lost, all of that lost. You know, freedom, liberalism, democracy, but not for you, motherfuckers. By that I mean us, because they sold us to
Okay,
back to the Soviet
this,
Union.
this is the
Yeah.
lie, okay? Europe, okay, I'm sorry. The United States, they didn't join the war because they were feeling bad for the Jews. They joined the war because of Pearl Harbor. Like everybody
Yes,
memes about it.
exactly.
They're like, you really think that the US gives a fuck about anybody other than
Nope.
themselves? Hell no, bro.
Yeah.
Like the moment
Mhm.
Hawaii was attacked, they're like, okay, now we're gonna pretend we actually have a moral backbone. It's like, okay, no, you don't have a fucking moral backbone. What the fuck? You refuse
Yeah.
Jews coming over to like coming
Oh
over
yeah,
trying
that
to find safety in the US, and you sent
yes.
them back to Germany to be all right. So it's like, no, that's not we're not doing that. We're not doing that, right? It's fucked up.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
I
Yeah.
mean, that's basically kind of like the situation, and you are that future is like exceptionally bleak, and
Very. Yeah.
as possible as it ever was. Like it's getting more possible each day, and there is a good solution to that. Fucking arm your actual defenders, which are us, by the way. We're the biggest army in Europe, and arm
Yeah.
us, help us,
You,
and
you know
but
you know you know what
people
also be funny?
talk, which
Well,
what?
Canada has an opportunity to do something very hilarious. Okay, the biggest, the biggest joke in human history. All right, what they can do is that they can just join the Ukrainian war against Russia. Okay, a battle on two fronts. Okay, a battle on two fronts. Okay, reliving the good old days. Okay, they can, they're in proximity, and no doubt Putin also has his sights on Canada after Canada has been annexed by the US or something, right? It is within Canada's interest to build an army, sail over to Russia, start doing D-Day, okay? All right, D-Day 2, because
I
the first one
don't
was so
think
good.
I don't think
They wanted a sequel, okay?
I
The,
don't
the,
think
the first
Canada's our
movie was so
savior.
good. Huh?
I don't. I'm.
They,
I'm not betting on Canada to be our savior, if I'm honest. Although they do have the biggest diaspora of Ukrainians in the world, so
oh, really?
that's
Oh, I didn't know that.
maybe. Yeah,
Oh, maybe
yeah, they
there you
do.
go.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go. Okay, maybe one day Canada will grow a backbone other than the whole like retaliatory tariffs thing. Maybe they can just go like, yeah, you know what? We're done. We're done being the 51st state. Okay, we're done. Your jokes are making us tired. Okay, your jokes are tiring us out. Okay, what we're gonna do is that we're gonna make bullets out of maple syrup. Okay, all right, I'm gonna start killing people. Okay, all right, we're gonna murder people.
Honestly, though, they can kill people with their poutine because it's pretty bad. They can kill people with that.
The
But
their
the
pudding,
dish, do you know
the dish, the
poutine?
pudding.
Poutine? Poutine?
What's wrong?
Poutine?
Putin.
Da,
Poutine.
Putin? Poutine?
Poutine.
It sounds
The,
like
the the
Putin.
French dish, right? The French dish, right? The dessert thing.
It's the Canadian thing. It's like the potatoes with like syrup on them. It's like pretty
Poutine.
fucking yikesy. Yeah,
Yeah, I
if
don't
you
I don't know
actually
anything
Google it,
about
it's
that,
like
but it just sounds like Putin. So you're just eating
good for
Putin.
you. It sounds like Putin. Yeah, it does sound like
Yeah,
Putin. It came to mind
yeah,
instantly. Yeah.
yeah.
But other than that, I think the best Canada can do now, if we're serious, is to
Hmm.
obviously try to put the fucking United States in their place, unironically, and try to actually show some, which they are doing right now. They're like retaliatory tariffs and all of that to
Which is
show
good.
that you
I
can
I
just
I'm
fuck
I'm fully
around.
supportive of that.
Yeah,
Yeah. Mhm. Yeah.
yeah, and maybe we shall see what will come from that. But the people who really need to fucking grow, a spine is Europe,
The
obviously,
U.S.
because
Oh,
that
oh, oh, Europe and the U. Okay, yeah,
yeah,
Europe. That's true, dude.
US,
Oh,
I abandoned all hope, if I'm honest, at this point. So I'm not like betting
yeah,
on
no, no,
United
no,
States
don't,
at all.
no, don't bet on us. We're only taking action if you attack one of our harbors. Okay, all right. But also, listen,
Which Russia
people in the
won't
U,
do. They're not so
pe- pe-
stupid.
yeah, people in the U.S. always goes like, "Oh, the Europeans! Oh my gosh, they're like one people. Oh my gosh, the glory of the old like European civilization, whatever the fuck, right?"
Yeah, that's
But
the
like
most retarded thing ever. Yeah.
they hate each other. The European countries hate each other. Like you would be so lucky to get them on a good day where they're sitting around a poker table playing poker, right? Or gambling with one another. Like that's a good day. They literally beat each other over sports, okay? Sports. Not taking of territory, not anything. They riot based off of sports. How pathetic and weak is that, right? Please grow a backbone.
Come
Please
on.
grow a spine, and unite. Make USSR two, okay? Make USSR two. All right.
No, no,
De-balkanize the European Union. All right.
no, don't make the USSR too.
Make the
Russia
United
just tried to
States
do it.
the United States of Europe, okay? The United States of Europe, all right? Dude, listen.
Not
Listen.
happening
Just
though.
oh
Yeah.
my, like they're like, oh, I'm German. Oh, I'm French.
Oh.
Oh, dude, who the fuck? Dude, I don't even know how many countries there are in Europe. Okay, so shut the fuck up. All right. So the
Hey,
thing
stop it. You're triggering me as a Euro. I am a European, you know. You might have forgot, but
oh,
I'm
in your
actually
soul,
getting triggered.
right? I mean,
Yeah.
like, there's a lot of
Yeah.
like European people like who are like do they consider Ukraine to be part of Europe? Because that's a debate, isn't
Technically
it?
it is, yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
we're not in the
yeah.
European Union, but we are in Europe objectively, like by the geography standards. Yeah, and by the
Yeah.
ethnical and all of that. Yeah, but not in the European Union. But problem with all of that, of course, is that Europe is not the United States. We don't have a shared national identity,
It's
and
not, no.
white nationalists are jerking off to with the idea of like European people
Like
as
the
one group.
Nordic Vikings. Ooh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
nothing could be further from the truth because there is a big difference between. I am Anastasia. My name is Anastasia. I'm from Kharkiv, Ukraine, which is like quite close to the front in the east, and I am a volunteer primarily. I do like fundraisers for the army, for the soldiers, all that sort of thing. Sometimes appear and talk with people like here. It's just so cringe. Sometimes you'll be like, oh, you know, the black people or like the. Latin people in the United States are not like real Americans because they're like not white or some shit. And I'm like, brother, like you don't have a race. You don't have an ethnicity. You're
You
not
don't
an
even
ethno
remember where
state.
you're
You never
from.
was.
People
Yeah,
take
yeah, you're
21andMe.
American.
Like they take
Yeah.
ancestry tests to figure out how much of their blood is from which place. This is how clueless you are, right? Like
Yeah, it's
yeah.
just you are a country of the new order of the new world, right? That was built upon the idea of a shared national identity, not ethnicity, right?
Yeah.
And not even religion. It was built upon the idea of a shared national identity. I'm American. Anyone can be an American, right?
And don't
And
get me
that's
wrong, that's
supposed to be a
something
container.
good. It's supposed to be a good thing.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I'm not saying it's bad. It's just a completely different thing. It's like a unique new kind of thing that the United States brought right to the table to the world, right? And when it comes to Europe, it's a completely different thing. Most of our countries have been ethnically homogenous to some extent for much longer than they are now having like. People of various ethnicities together, right? So there is a very strong sense of the ethnic identity in most countries, and that's not even like bad. It's just that the fact of the matter. There's a difference between
Mm.
an old world in that sense and the new world in that sense, and both are like have their strong and weak points. I guess you could say both are valid in some way, but it's not the same and never gonna be like a European Union like United States because it's a political alignment, it's an
Mhm.
economical alignment in the sense of trade, for example, or visa-free travel or some shit like that, right? But it's not United States as in one national identity,
It's
and
a
it
lot
never
like
will be.
and there's many similar instances of this. Like you can see as an East Asian, all right, as an East Asian, like these people, listen, oh my god, they hate each other so much, okay? All right, you have never like these East Asians, they
Yeah, it's not
fucking
Europe, by the way. It's not
despise, they want to
Europe. I meant
kill each
old
other, all
world
right?
Asian. Yeah,
Yeah,
Asia is included. I'm not
so I
excluding
so
Asia from hate. Yeah.
I understand that. Like I totally understand that as well. Like dude, my one time I got into an argument with my dad and my dad was like, "Why aren't you racist against Japanese people more?" And I'm like, "Ninja, what are you
Valid.
talking about?" And it's like he's like you're not racist enough. And I'm like, "What are you
Yeah.
what? What?" It's like I'm like,
You were
"What am I
born in
supposed to say here?"
you were
Yeah.
born in US, right? Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, I was
You-
born in the U.S. Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
uh-huh.
But like they had grandparents who were there back in China when like the Japanese were like
Mhm.
bombing their towns and shit. So I understand
Bombing
where
was
their
not the worst
perspective
thing they
is.
did.
Huh?
Bombing was really not the worst thing Japanese people did with Chinese people. Let's put it
Oh,
like that.
oh.
Yeah, so I imagine that animosity is still there, especially considering that Japan, with all my like respect to Japan, didn't really recognize shit and doesn't really learn the history. What they did in Nanking, for example, is it made Nazis blush. Okay, so I would say that
Mm.
as much
They
as
they did
don't
they
support
did
racism,
yeah, yeah,
valid
yeah.
to
I mean,
have some gripes.
listen. There's a lot of stuff about modern Japan I really admire, but the thing is that back then, uh, they were crazy, kind of like they were kind of
Yeah.
mentally ill. Like, they torture people for fun. They like two commanders, two Japanese commanders were having a competition on who can kill 100 people using katana the fastest. They basically
Uh-huh.
lined 200 people
Yeah.
up, and they were trying to. One person has to go down one line, and they were racing. They were racing on on killing civilians the fastest. It was fucked up. It was, yeah. But then I can understand the animosity again, right? But you know,
Mhm.
what can you really do, right? What can you really do? Yeah.
Then also it's a difference in a sense, like for example, like in the United States, the really like big fucking animosity you had between yourselves is civil war, right? When it happened, but it was 19th century. It was like pretty long time ago, and in Europe it's not the same because like World War II, is not that long ago, and before that there have been a fuck ton of fucking animosities, betrayals, top 10 anime betrayals, between people, wars, like
Yeah.
yeah, all sorts of
Cinema,
things. So
cinema.
yeah, yeah. So there's just really have been a long history of fucking people over, and like a lot of like fucking like ethnic cleanses, genocides, and all that sort of shit. And because of that, of course, it's there is animosity that is genuinely like built upon history,
Yeah.
but also there is like a very strong difference between people, like unironically, like not in like a cringe way, but in terms of like values, culture. For example, like it's very funny. Then you see like I don't know, like a nationalist, American kind of like white nationalist kind of person, and they'd be like, "I have nothing in common with this
Oh
black
my
dude that
god.
grew up in the same city as me," and you're like, "Dude, you have much more in common with that guy than you have with me. Like, I am very
They
white, okay? I'm like
they're
a
like, dude,
translucent, but you have nothing
oh
in
my
common with
god,
me because I'm
dude, it's
from
so
Europe. I'm from
cringe.
Ukraine."
It's so cringe
Yeah, it's
because with like white nationalism now like resurging in the U.S. like right now,
mhm.
like it's so cringe out there. Like, oh, this vague, your skin is pale, so you belong with the white supremacy. It's like so weird. What are you talking about, right? Like, I don't know. It's like they're trying to LARP. They're trying to LARP us these like Saxon Vikings
It's
or some shit, right? It's like, what the
Yes, it's
fuck are you on
cringe.
about?
Everyone in Europe,
What?
it's extraordinary cringe. We had like the people, United Americans coming from, I don't know, I remember what state it was, but never mind. They were like from US, and they came to
Mhm.
Poland essentially, and they were like, "We are the Polish. We have the Polish heritage," and the Polish people were like, "What?" Like, no, bro, you're like American. What the fuck are you talking about? You're third, fourth
Oh my god, dude,
generation
I
American. Like,
know.
how the
Oh my
can you
gosh.
Poland? Yeah, yeah, it's just
Oh,
and they're like, "What?
what?
I'm
Do you
white, just like you."
do you
Like,
remember?
no,
Do you remember when Lex Friedman? Do you remember when Lex Friedman said, "Oh, I'm Ukrainian by heritage"? Do you remember when he said
oh
that?
yeah.
Lex Friedman in his interview with
I
Zelensky,
mean,
bro. I was like,
at least he
I
was born in Tajikistan and not Ukraine, by the way. But he was like he lived most like his teenage years in Russia, at least. So he can
yeah.
at least have that.
He
I
doesn't
guess
even have an
I wouldn't say
accent though. Like he doesn't even have an
yeah, I mean he's
accent.
American, obviously he's American, but at
Yeah.
least there's that. But when the cringe, real
Ugh.
cringe starts, when it's like a second generation, third generation American people, and they're like American in every sense of the word, and there's nothing wrong with that. Just be what you are. Be a fucking like American. You're not a European. You're not from here. It's like for example, like I'm just so. For example, I have a friend, close friend of mine. He's a
Mhm.
volunteer as well as me, and he
Mhm.
doesn't have like a single drop of Ukrainian blood basically in him. He's
Mhm.
Azerbaijani, but he was born in Ukraine. He grew up here. His Azerbaijan is a completely different like thing, not even like remotely close, like to Ukrainian, like in terms of like descent, in terms of DNA and things like that. Looks, appearance, all of that. But I have a fuck ton in common with him. He's a Ukrainian because he was born here. It's nationality that matters, right? And Americans should understand that more than anyone else, right? That nationality is what matters at the end of the day, right? And I have a fuck ton in common with him, more than I have with the whitest dude in the fucking US of A, because because he's American. I don't have much in common with them. So yeah,
Bro, dude. Oh my God, because
yeah,
you're just reminding
like,
me of Hassan saying that he's like Turkish or something like that. Like Hassan, dude, I
ew.
can't. Dude, it's just like he's bro, you are white. Stop it immediately. Okay? Like listen, we can be white together, okay? I know I look Asian, but we're white, okay? All right, listen. I mean, like we're not white. Okay, listen. The point is that we're American. You know what I mean? Like I consider myself American. Like my parents are like, "Oh, you have Asian
Obviously, yeah.
heritage." Yeah, blah blah blah. Like I don't want to say the N word, but Ninja, like Ninja, what are you saying? What are you talking about, Ninja? It's like that's what you're like.
I mean,
What are you even on
you
about?
can
It's yeah.
obviously. I would like to highlight for the people who might be like offended or anything by the truth. I guess we're saying here,
Mm.
but it's just that you can have obviously you have heritage, you have appearance, you have like DNA, you have like history, you have descendants of other people, and you can talk about that. That's completely fine. Like people from in the United States, for example, who are Italian of Italian heritage, right? And they like celebrate Italian shit, or maybe like food, or maybe like some cultural traditions and things like that. It's all based and cool, and you should do it. I think it's great to remember that and to like maybe
Yeah.
appeal to that, because the idea of like United States is a melting pot, right? So you bring all of that and build something different, like something new out of all the
Oh
heritage
my
and
God,
all the
you have
culture.
more
It,
patriotism. You have more patriotism than some Americans here. Okay, like no lie, you're fully Ukrainian. Okay, you're fully Ukrainian, but oh my God,
yes,
you are.
okay, okay.
I wish some
That's
Americans here had
cool.
the same level of patriotism as you. Okay, like
Oh, that's
seriously.
very cool. That's like the coolest thing. It's like what distinguishes you like from other people, right? And that's cool. But even though you are Italian American, like American with Italian heritage, and you can like celebrate that, and you can like bring that sort of stuff towards all the melting potty shit, right? But you're not Italian. You're
Anna,
not.
Anna.
Yeah. So yeah,
Musk
it's
did
just
the Hitler salute. Like this is the level of absurdity we're dealing with here.
two
Okay,
times,
like
two
you
times
can't
too, not just
make
once.
this up. Like the you're dealing with a war, all right? But we're dealing with clown shit, okay? I would rather get invaded by Canada. I would rather get invaded by Canada, okay, than dealing with Hitler discourse, okay? With Heil Hitler discourse, okay? No, no, thank you. Okay, it's fucking boring. Number one, it's boring. Number two, it's stupid. Number three, I'd rather be talking about real issues like Ukraine, right? Like it's so stupid. And this is ultimately the what Russia did so well. Okay, the bot networks that they have, establishing like propaganda,
Mm.
making sure that for the week they're having this specific issue being talked about for the week forever. All right, they're the ones that's giving Trump like talking points, right? They're the ones who's like, oh, whatever. I'm not a conspiracy theorist,
Ooh,
okay? Cinema. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I'm just saying it's very clear they're the ones who set what the important topics for the week are. This is what they do.
have you seen the most like Russian, obviously Russian talking point I have seen from Trump? Although there have been plenty, but this one is just straight up. I never saw American even speak like that, so it was very obvious when he was talking about
Oh,
the fact that
mhm.
the border between Canada and the United States is like an artificial line that some person draw. That was like a yeah, that was like I was like, "Oh my God." That's like literally. It's just word for word. It's like it's Russian full on. Like it's not even like remote. I never heard even American even thinking about the borders that way, or like talking about the borders that way ever in my life. I never heard that even brought up. So it was just so blatant that he like took that point from his pal Vova in no, I mean Vladimir Vova is like a shirt for
Dude,
Vladimir
he's
from Putin in Kremlin. Yeah,
why doesn't he
that's
say
pretty
that
cool.
about Mexico? Why see that's the funny thing, isn't it? He would say that about Canada, but he doesn't say that about Mexico, right? Because he wants to maintain like a strong border like between America and Mexico, because like, oh, these brown people, we don't want them here or whatever, right? But then now the line is looser
Yeah,
between
can.
US and Canada. It's just many of the hypocrisies that don't make sense, right? But the thing is that he's being fed these lines and they're hypocritical, but he doesn't care because it's like, oh, it serves my national interest of wanting a 51st state or whatever, right? It's just so stupid. Yeah.
It is
Wait.
also like one step
Mhm.
away from basically just saying that it's artificial state, it's not a real nation or something of that sort. It's like a couple
Yeah,
steps
let's do
away.
some
You are right.
Canadian genocide. Let's do some Canadian genocide for funsies. Okay, all right. Let's just like
Mm-hmm.
he's literally saying let's do Canada like Ukraine. Okay, let's just like let's tear down their
Mm.
religious institutions, break off their connection with Europe, take over their land, kill anybody who resists. Right? Like because you say you have a Canadian identity, that's fake. That's
Yeah,
fake. All
that's
right,
that's
like
basically what's kind of like where you are creeping on that like that identity. The border is fake.
testing the
Someone drew it.
waters,
Like
testing the waters. Exactly.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
the words. Yeah, and also the one thing I also noted, border was like very on the nose. But one thing I really noticed was that he was like basically saying that they will be better in with us because we have like a better economy, better like GDP, higher like right, less taxes or some shit. Like it
When was the
doesn't really
last time you
matter.
cared about any country? Like it's just so stupid, isn't it? Like, yeah.
It's just that that's an argument that I sometimes hear from pro-Russian people as well. They
Mm,
would be like, "Why doesn't want Ukraine to live like be part of Russia? Russia has like a bigger GDP," as if that's the argument, right?
mm.
So that's kind of like the argument that sort of Trump made as well. So yeah, it's getting pretty fucking awkward, and Greenland shit doesn't like make anything better as well.
I
Especially the rhetoric like we will get them anyway. Like
yeah. I
yeah,
actually
it's
find I just noticed this pin had the fucking five the leaf Canadian leaf shit on
a
it. I
battle.
just noticed the maple leaf. Yeah. But regardless, it's like I've had this for years. But anyway, the point is like okay. Fuck, I kind of forgot my point. The thing is, it's just like, it's so it's so silly. Like it's just so like this entire sometimes I'm like detaching myself from my own body, and I'm like, let's take a step back. Am I dreaming right now? Like, am I just hallucinating the entire world situation right now? Like maybe this stuff is not real. You know, maybe none of this is
Does look
happening
a
right
little
now.
bit like a trip, like
A
a drug
mushroom
trip.
trip, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I have a
Yeah.
question. Oh wait,
Mm-hmm.
wait, hold on. I don't want to keep you here for too long because we've been talking for a long time. And I've been having a lot of fun. But like, I don't want to keep you
You
here for too
too.
long. If you have something to do, do you? Am I
Well,
keeping you
sleep
here for too long?
probably would be a good idea. But
Okay,
other
no,
than that,
yeah, mhm,
uh, yeah. But yeah, the question is all right if you want to like ask
yeah,
something.
sure. I have two. I have two last very quick subjects, if you don't mind. So
Yeah.
the first thing is Starlink. Um, what do you think about Elon Musk having control over Starlink? But then at the same time, you know, Ukrainian troops are very dependent on Starlink in order to, you know, serve in combat and do all that stuff, right? Like,
Situation of us depending on it is pretty shit because first of all Elon already sabotaged our operations, for example in Crimea, by turning off Starlink there, and it was even
mm,
before the whole like circus that is going on now. So that's quite difficult in itself. Now there is a constant threats and blackmail, essentially like almost daily at this point, of Elon in Trump being like we will turn it off, and they have this whole like this all this like battling with Poland over it, because Poland was like, actually we are paying for Ukrainian Starlink, and it's a
mm,
service that is paid for, so you can't really turn it off unless you want everyone in the world to know that you can turn off on a whim your product that other people are paying for, because it's not a
yeah,
gift.
yeah,
They didn't gift us, no matter. Yeah,
you
so
paid for it,
so
right?
Trump
Yeah,
yeah, Poland, Ukraine, and a third country, I believe. I forgot which one. Is paying for the services of Starlink. Most of it is Poland, I believe. So basically, like Poland went out of the way to highlight that, and Elon decided that the good idea would be to insult the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Poland, Radosław Sikorski, and call him a little man or something like that. Shut up, little man! Like you're paying a
Really?
fraction of the price.
Shit.
Yeah. I don't know if you saw all of that, but there was like a huge Twitter battle over there. So despite all of that, I think actually I can actually probably send you the cringe if you want.
Oh yeah, please.
Um,
Yeah.
but but yeah, it's not like you have enough, right? Of cringe. It's just
No, no,
that
no. Please give me
it,
more. Okay, this is Anna filtered cringe. Okay, it's the top tier cringe. It's stuff that I want to see. Yeah.
uh, yeah, let me look it up. I will send you the link right now. So basically that happened. So maybe even if they
Hmm.
don't turn off Starlink, it's really not about that at this point. It's about us not wanting to depend on something so unreliable, and also something that could be used against us as leverage to make us do things that they want us to do, essentially.
Right.
So
Yeah.
by this point, we are trying desperately to find alternatives to Starlink, which is, by the way, I'm doing right now the fundraiser for that, to try to test.
Can you link your
s-
can you link your fundraiser to me? Yeah, and I'll share it with my chat.
Mhm. For because boys basically on the front are trying to find alternatives to Sterling and to find they aren't as great and they wouldn't be as like all encompassing and good working as Sterling could be.
Hmm.
But you have to at this point you have to like just find some sort of like alternatives because there's
Because
the
Musk is
other choice.
unhinged. He's crazy. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. That's my fundraiser right now. And
Hey.
on Discord I have sent you the link to it. We are going to test this thing and maybe see if it works um at all. Yeah, and this is the Elon cringe.
Yeah,
I don't know
he's been kind of
if you know
crazy.
it
Let me see.
to people or not.
Sterling.
Him like calling talking shit about like foreign
What the
um
fuck? Wait, hold on. Sterling's pretty
yeah.
cringe.
Yeah.
Be quiet,
Yeah.
small man.
Yes. Oh no. By
Oh
the way,
my
Radoslav is a
god.
conservative, pretty respectable person in Poland.
Dude, what am I looking
Yeah.
at, dude? I don't You pay a tiny fraction of the cost and there is no substitute for Starlink. Dude, what are you? Oh my god. This is so cringe, dude.
It is. Yeah.
Oh no, dude. Okay. Shit.
One of
Oh
the
my
worst
god.
things about your fascists is that they are
Mhm.
unbelievably cringe. Like it's the worst
You're
thing
right.
about them,
I
honestly.
want Hitler back. Okay, I want Hitler back. We got to make Hitler cool again in fascism. Okay, all right. It's just this level. Listen, I would
Probably
rather
not.
I would rather listen. It's just like whenever Trump starts talking, I feel very embarrassed. Okay, I feel extremely embarrassed
Yeah,
as like a citizen.
it's
I'm
just
like,
that it's just you have
no.
like a senile president with Biden, and now you have a senile fascist. Like you didn't really win. Like you have
See,
just a
see, see,
senile
see.
version.
That's the thing, though, is that Biden was getting senile, but he clearly at least had good policies. He had good like actions, like helping
Mhm.
Ukraine out, right? Like But then on Trump, on the other hand, he's just like he's like the
Yeah.
antichrist. He's like the antichrist. Like literally, he's the devil in disguise, basically.
It's also they're unbelievably fucking unprincipled. They're just corrupt. That's the problem. Because, for example, with Hitler, like brother really believed it in what he said. Okay,
Yeah,
he really
yeah,
believed
like
in his ideals. Yep.
you,
But with these guys, they don't have like actual like principled positions. Because, for example, Lindsey Graham, like Hex. That or how the fuck is called the Minister of Defense now, and all of them have been saying that Russia is the aggressor, Ukraine is like the based, and Zelensky is like the biggest hero. Like I think Lindsey Graham actually
mhm.
said that Zelensky was the person he waited his whole life to work with, and now he's calling him a dictator, a scammer, and a warmonger and all of that. So the question here, of course, it becomes is that they have absolutely no principles. They have no ideals whatsoever. The only ideal they do have is money and power and how to stay in power. And now to stay in power, you have to do what Trump wants. That's all the ideology there is to it. And that's pretty cringe, in my opinion.
Yeah, it is. It is. Wait, one last question, okay? Last question. Last
Mhm.
question. Last question. Um, I okay. Sorry, not last question, but like, yeah, like these. I just want to like reiterate, like it's just how kind of crazy the virtual front lines are. Like in terms of, I think one of the things that you probably need to argue for is how much these like in terms of talking about how much they contradict themselves, right? Because
Mm.
sure, it's good to defend Ukraine, it's good to defend your sovereign state, whatever, right? But at the same time, it's also good to point out like, hey, back then you said this about these other countries, but then you don't apply that to Ukraine, blah blah blah, right? So I always find these to be good talking points as well. So yeah.
A lot of them actually didn't even say things about other countries. They actually said it about Ukraine. They said that if you allow Russia to move forward, it will attack and now they are all laughing and saying that Russia will never attack NATO countries, although they themselves said well, basically a couple months ago
Russia
before
will
Trump
never
came
attack
into power.
Ukraine as well. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just pretty. I mean, at this point, unfortunately, as good as those points sound, they sound good to you because you care about the contradictions and the lies. But as far
Yeah.
as like MAGA base is, I'm not sure at this point in time whether they really care about the lies at all. So,
They
mm,
don't.
you know,
Cinema, okay? All right, they don't. Cinema. Okay? Yeah, they don't.
yeah.
No, you're right. You're right. You're
It
right.
kind of
You're right.
reminds me of my example I brought up a long time ago. I don't remember if I spoke with you about that, but I spoke with
Mm.
other people definitely about this. But this was like to me, it's just very explanatory example of how this sort of thing mechanism of that sort works, right? So the example is with Russia, and in 2014, after Maidan Revolution, when they annexed Crimea, right?
Uh-huh.
So I had like a lot of relatives. I still have most of my relatives are in Russia, and my mom is half Russian, so most of her relatives live there, and
Mm-hmm.
because of that, there have been a lot of conversations, right, with people, myself and other people, with their relatives, with their friends in Russia back in the day, and we were like, what the fuck, like, is going on? Why are you like annexing our shit? Like, well, questions like that, and they be like, it's not us, we're not doing anything, there's no Russian soldiers are there. And you're like, well, they are there, we know they're there, we saw them and all of that, right? And there it was the basic back in little green man thing, right? Because they didn't have
Mm-hmm.
like insignias and actual like just but it was Russian soldiers there. So I was like, okay, I was naive, I was like quite young at the time as well, 19 like years old. So I was like, oh, maybe they believe it. Like they believe that the Putin, because Putin told them so. And they were like, Putin said there are no Russian soldiers there. It's just, the civil war, quote unquote, right? And I was like, they just, okay. So they believe the Putin more than they believe me and, I'm the relative. That's weird, but understandable, okay? And then just a month has passed, and Putin blatantly on the national TV says that there are our soldiers in Crimea and we annexed it and we gave them weapons and all of that in Donbass as
Mm-hmm.
well, right? And he
Oh
admits
no.
that he has been lying to his population for a whole month, damn near every day, saying that there are no Russian soldiers there. So imagine I'm like, again,
Yeah.
young and stupid. So I'm very, very elated. I'm like, oh, finally now, if I call people like my relatives or friends and stuff, and I will ask them, they
Mm-hmm.
will admit that they have been lied to, and they will be appalled, and they will be like
Nope.
all angry about it, and maybe they will
Nope.
be even go to protest or some shit, right? And
Nope.
you call them, right? You call them, and the most
Mm.
interesting thing is what they said. I will be like, see, I was like, right, you have been lied to. There have been your soldiers there. You're like, Putin himself admitted it, and they'd be like, well, we knew he was lying. And that's the most important thing probably ever to learn about support of authoritarian things, right? Is
The
not
truth
only
does
they
not
knew
matter.
they yes, not only they knew he was lying, they lied to me about not knowing that he was lying, and they supported him because ends justified the means. The ends for them was that they wanted Crimea to be part of Russia again. And they knew that in order to do that, they should support the lies that they are not there. So that's the perfect example of in my opinion of how that sort of mentality works, because I was shocked obviously, but because I thought that they were lied to and they believed the lies, but they know it's lies. They support the lies because they support the end game. They think the lies will be the instrument to get to the end game. And that applies to MAGAs as well in the United States. A lot of them are retarded and they don't know they're being lied to. That's true. That applies to many Russians as well. But quite a big percentage of them know it's lies, support the lies, and they're in on the lies. That's very important.
Because I know so much about this. One time I came across, real quick, there was this Asmongold video I was debunking, okay? And then basically, Asmongold, somebody in his chat basically said, hey, that's not true. That's just plainly not true. And then he just says out of nowhere, it doesn't matter if it's true. Who
Yep.
cares if it's true or not? Who cares? Nobody cares. This is just what the people think, and I'm just here sitting like,
Yeah.
right? Like I'm just like, bro. That's when I realized, fucking nothing I do is
Yeah,
useful.
that's it.
Like it's fuck that. Like yeah, no, it's just
At
anger.
that
I just feel
point,
really
at
angry. Yeah, yeah.
if people come to this point, it's well damn near irreversible. So you can convince people who are being lied to and don't know. These people, they you can potentially convince. But people who are in on the lies and they know it's a lie and they part of the plan, those people are malicious. They are not being. They cannot be sensed with. You cannot like
Yeah.
talk sense into them because they are know what they're doing. They're doing it with purpose. And that's something like I feel like many people in the West, I have even liberals and people who I talk with have trouble understanding. For example, I people like Wick, for example, I really like him a lot. I sometimes jump on his panels and everything, and we are super friendly and stuff. But I think he has like this a bit of a soft spot and a bit of a like maybe blind spot even you could say, because he's not able to sometimes to recognize maliciousness.
Evil.
Sometimes
Yeah.
stupidity is the answer. Yes,
Mhm.
sometimes it's just stupidity, but a lot of times it's also maliciousness. And a lot of agents right now in the media, for example, people like Tucker Carlson, for example, they
Dave
are
Rubin.
malicious
Yeah.
people. Yeah, they know exactly what they're doing, why they're doing it, and they're doing it with purpose. So it's not dumbness. It's not Rubin is dumb. Okay, he is retarded, but it's not just retardation. It's also it's a job. Their money, their affluence, their platform, their media output all depends on them towing the line, and they do it as propagandists do it with purpose.
Yeah, they're some of the most powerful Putin agents in the world, basically. Yeah, because they have
Yes,
these massive audiences.
Russia definitely
Their
is.
their
Yeah.
their their reaches, their tendrils, all right, reach internationally. It's not just confined within one country or whatever. They can convince somebody all the way in the UK or in the Germany of their talking points, which is really dangerous because you have these motherfuckers like Tim Pool, right? Like Tim Pool especially
Yes.
powerful, right? And then you have
Yeah.
and then Tim Pool is more extreme, but then you also need the people in the middle, like Asmongold, right? Asmongold would also push these same exact things,
Yes.
and then you need people who are who on the other side are also like that. Oh, Hassan, you have Hassan, right? He's like right here, but he's not in their bubble, but they have their end goal, okay, is that they know they're lying. They know they're spreading propaganda, but they just don't care. He called himself a propagandist, right? So
Yeah. But
it doesn't really
with
matter. The
Osman,
truth doesn't matter to them. Yeah.
with Asmongold, from what I've seen, I haven't seen much, I will say, but from what I've seen, I don't think he's propagandist. I don't think he's doing this with like maliciousness. I think
No.
he's just in that bubble, informational
Mhm.
bubble, and he just bought in on most of the things that are being sprouted out. But I'm not certain, obviously. But people with Tim Pool, for example, I have told a lot of people that he was doing this for money before it became a thing. So before anyone like actually discovered that he was taking money, I was saying that motherfucker is 100% on the Russian payroll, and it
Tenant
turned out to
Media.
be
Oh my god, dude,
yeah,
that
confirmed.
shit, dude.
Mhm.
That was such
Tucker
blatant.
is on the payroll.
Yeah,
Yeah.
such
Mhm.
blatant evidence as well. It's just like it's right there, like
Yeah, but you can use
yeah,
both. It's very effective. You can use both. You can use malicious people you pay for, and you can use people who are useful idiots doing propaganda for free.
manipulated. Yeah,
Uh,
manipulated people. Yeah,
yeah, so that
yeah.
would be Asmongold. He would be like a
Hmm.
useful idiot who's doing the propaganda for free. He
Very.
might not even know he's doing propaganda, but he is doing it to millions of people in a very palatable form as well. So, because for example, why do
That's
you
the
think they
danger. Yeah.
infiltrate? Why do you think they infiltrated Russian propaganda and Russian narratives infiltrated red pill communities when they were very popular in the United States? So why all the red pillars that are supposed to be talking like about banning
Self
beaches and
improvement. Yeah.
yeah, self improvement, alpha male shit like sport and all of that? Why all out of nowhere they all started talking about like Russia, Ukraine, and they started talking about the political stuff, right? And all are backing now. States are like full throttle, like deep throating Putin basically 24/7. So all of that is just is because those people have a lot of influence, palatable influence on younger people, especially younger men, who would be the main voters that would put, for example, Trump into power or like
Yeah.
fascism into power and things like that, right? So you have to like from all parts of what they find pop interest and popular. Red pill content is not as popular now, but it used to be quite popular amongst like very young men in the United States in the West, right? Because of the certain issues that main men face in the society, and like the disillusionment and the distaste they have for their loneliness and the things, how things are, all the incel shit, right, and all of that. It's a good target to prey upon when you want to basically indoctrinate.
Yeah, because yeah, like you said, it's not just like getting the people who already believe in these things. It's also trying to get more
Hmm.
people to
Yep.
believe in
Oh
these
yeah.
things.
Hmm.
That's how the propaganda network is. Very hard to
Yeah.
fight. Very hard to fight. Extremely difficult. Like as somebody who is, ooh, I'm gonna tell you this, okay? All right, just the amount of hatred coming my way is insane. It's crazy. But like it is what it is. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, being Ukrainian online is not a picnic, I will say.
No, no, no.
It's not
I
the
no like no. You do have a
not
tougher
fun
battle for
sometimes. I
sure. Yeah.
understand. No, no,
Yeah.
I'd say the same. It's about the same. Like the level of internet, like shit. I mean, I have shit like thrown my way that is be like, I hope Russians like rape you and drone strike you. Probably you're not getting that because you're not, in Ukraine. But other than that, the actual like amount of like, vitriol you get from bots and like Vatniks and things like that, it's about the same. It's like depends on the size basically. If you're like big on Twitter, for example, you would get more, shit thrown your way, obviously. But yeah, it's a similar thing. It's all part of the similar thing. I actually have a like provocative, okay, hot take. I actually
Okay.
think
Let's
that
hear it.
yeah, I think I talked to someone about it. Who was it? Tomfoolery, I think, was the guy I spoke.
Okay.
I
All right.
I gave this hot take too, but the hot take is like basically like incels and like lonely men. It's not a hot take. Are being infiltrated by fascists, right? And they are very easily recruited. But I also
Mm-hmm.
think, like for example, the hottest take is that trans people in the West are basically the incels in that sense because they're being co-opted by commies in a similar way that
Oh,
fascism is
yeah.
called.
Oh, yeah. I mean, like
Yeah,
even I
it's not
I
really their
even had
fault.
like yeah, I even
Yeah.
had like a period of time where that was happening to me, where I was like,
Mhm.
oh my god, commie, whatever the fuck, right? But I never bought into the whole Russia good thing, right? But the thing is, it's just like, oh, it's so cringe. It happens. It happens. And the thing is this is why I don't trust trans people anymore. Okay, all right. This is why I'm the most
I wouldn't
transphobic. I
say
am the
that.
most transphobic.
Yeah,
All
yeah,
right.
but I will say though that I was a little bit like not a little bit, like a lot of it, like surprised by the amount of like trans people who are like walking around with like Stalin shit or like commie, commie flags and things like that. They are basically like the black people supporting like Hitler and fascism. Like basically, you're supporting the regime that will ultimately destroy you because the essence of that is equalizing of the people and
Mm-hmm.
destroying any separation and any individualism and any if you're not allowed to have a different fucking hairstyle. You think you will be allowed to express a gender identity
A
that is
gender
not
identity, bro. You think the
yeah,
USSR is
yeah,
gonna let
come
you
on.
cook like that? Hell no, dude.
Yeah,
Lenin
yeah,
will have your
yeah.
ass
So
down in a pipe, okay? Alright? It'll be like send you off to the
yeah,
mines, okay? Alright?
I mean,
Yeah.
gay people were sent into fucking gulags. It's not like trans people wasn't really like a that big of a thing, I
Not that
guess you
much of
could
a
say.
trend, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, not in the sense of trend. People wouldn't really expressing themselves that way that
I,
much. I mean,
I was just being
and
transphobic.
yeah,
Yeah, my bad. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, just
Yeah.
yeah, just not something that was like as open as it is now, obviously. But in the sense that you're just destroying like you're just paving the way for the regime that will crush you. So they're using you basically. So there are like a lot of people, like for example, like have you seen that video with Hassan and on Second Thoughts, Hakim, all of those like fucking Stalinist commie fucks,
Yeah,
and they'd
yeah.
be like, you
Very
should,
cringe people. Yeah.
yeah, you should be like palatable towards normies, like towards liberals, and you should like recruit them and get them while they young. He said essentially.
It's
So this
so
is kind of
it's LARP language.
yeah, this
That
kind
shit
of
is LARPy shit, okay? Because I
it's
also
hard,
used to
but they
talk
also
like that
do
as
it.
well. Like it's very cringe
They
shit.
also
Yeah.
It is, but they also do it. They have like actual pipelines there. So, for example, Hassan has an audience of incredibly young people. A lot of them are LGBT people, for example, that would gravitate towards his content because he is LGBT friendly, quote unquote, right? And they will be recruited and pipelined into that commie shit, just like incels are getting pipelined into fascist and Nazi shit. So
you
it's
you
quite a similar thing.
you have
Mhm.
these like how do you say it? It's like because Hassan is hot, and then you have a bunch of like failed art students,
Yeah.
and then they're like really liberal ass people, and then they watch Hassan. You would be surprised about the amount of people who I have met like outside of this world, and then they just happen to watch Hassan, and I'm like, wow, you know, like one person I dated at some point was like a Hassan fan, and I'm like, how
Hmm.
like I thought he was like this really terminally online thing, but then you realize that all the cringe ass early 20-year-old college students would be watching this guy like in their free time, and it's unhinged. It's actually
Yeah.
insane. Yeah, and he's playing
It is,
prophet.
it's
He's
also
playing terrorist propaganda on his stream. It's just
yes,
like
yes,
what
yes,
is
and that's
going
why it's
on?
so. For example, that's what I said. Like for example, for the recruitment of how many of people who are like pro-Palestine people, right, who are like vehemently hating Ukraine because of them being like through that pipeline essentially, right? This
Hmm.
comparison game that they have been playing between like Gazan victims in Gaza and like victims in Ukraine, disgusting shit. I was like deeply distraught by that. So basically saying that Russia is not that bad compared to Israel, and look at the they're not killing as many people, and then they will show a picture of Kiev and Gaza instead of showing a picture of I don't know Mariupol that is completely destroyed, or of
Bro,
Vovchansk that is completely destroyed, or maybe Avdiivka or any other city that they completely destroyed that looks worse than fucking Gaza does. But they would never do that. Obviously, they would make like those comparison games. Oh, they will make claims that because Ukrainians are white, blue-eyed, and blonde or some shit, and that's why people treat us supposedly better than they would treat for example, Gaza people, like make things like that. It's also a pipeline. It's also a pipeline
they
you go through, and then you get pro-Russian essentially
They put
through
race
that
into
pipeline.
everything as well. Like they put race as much in as like white supremacists, you know? Like you won't
Yeah.
you're not even talking about skin color. Who the fuck cares about skin color and the color of your eyes, right? But then they bring up these points as if to differentiate you from like the Arab or whatever the fuck, right? But like
Hmm.
no one's talking about that right now. Who cares about like the skin color shit right now, right? Like you're
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
so
I
stupid.
imagine if you are bombed and buried under rubble, then the fact that you have blue eyes or brown eyes is not really my concern. I'm not like interested in that.
Everyone's skeleton, yeah, everyone's corpse 500 years from now is white, okay? Your skeleton is white, okay? Your skeleton buried under the rubble is white, okay? We all end up as white skeletons in the
Yeah.
end, okay? All right, that's what happens.
Yeah.
All right,
I
it's
mean, you
not
can
black
make
skeletons, it's not layer skeleton. Yeah, go ahead.
in good faith, you can make arguments, obviously, that maybe many people in Europe find, for example, Ukrainians more relatable, quote unquote, because we
Mm.
have like similar cities, similar appearance, maybe in some sort of way. But you can, if you're like not actually retarded and evil, you can talk about it like in good faith, saying that people relate less towards, for example, towards Arabs, because there's a much bigger cultural difference between, for example, a Palestinian person and Poland and Ukraine, for example, much closer, right, culturally than Polish people are with the Palestinian people. You can make arguments like that in like good faith, and it make it make sense, but they are really not in the business of that. They are in the business of smearing Ukraine, of belittling our struggle, of belittling the damage, incomprehensible fucking damage that Russia is doing, like World War II level damage that Russia is doing to our country, right? And also whitewashing Russia in the process to smear Israel, essentially, which you
Hmm.
don't really have to do. You can like shit on Israel without trying to, whitewash Russia in the process. Those things are not mutually exclusive, but for them they
And,
are, obviously.
and you know the craziest part is that even Russia hates brown people. Like even they have did war shit against brown people. They have bombs like their cities as well. So it's like, what is this like selective forgiving? Like why are you forgiving them for like going to Afghanistan or some shit, right? Like it's just like sorry,
Syria,
was it
fucking
Afghanistan?
Syria.
I forgot. Not
Like
Syria, not Afghanistan,
unironically,
Syria,
uh,
right, or whatever. I don't know.
yes, they have been in Afghanistan as well.
It
They
was
killed a fuck
Afghanistan,
ton of
right?
people.
Yeah, it was Russia and
Yes, but
Afghanistan, right?
Syria,
Yeah.
Syria is a little bit earlier, no, closer to our time as well, because, for
Mm,
example, Assad was in power primarily because of Russia.
yeah.
So he used like Russian Wagner people, things like that, and they also used a lot of Hezbollah people as well to support from Iran to support Assad's regime in Syria, and killed 500,000
Hmm.
people there, right? And really nobody gives like that much of a flying fuck about that, obviously. So
Dude.
that's at the end of the day the only thing they really care about, it seems.
And
Yeah.
now the Republicans are doing it too. Now they're also doing the America bad shit, where they're like, "Oh, America,
Yeah,
oh
yeah.
my God, America, Ukraine is just the America soft power. Ukraine is just the America satellite state." It's like, oh my God, dude, not you
Really
guys
left the fucking
too.
thing. I am Anastasia. My name is Anastasia. I'm from Kharkiv, Ukraine, which is like quite close to the front in the east. And I am a volunteer primarily. I do like fundraisers for the army, for the soldiers, all that sort of thing. Sometimes I appear and talk with people like here.
Yeah, this is what I'm talking
Yeah.
about like the whole like
Yeah.
the disappearance of patriotism, because they will
Hmm.
act patriotic. They have this costume of patriotism where they're
Yeah,
flying American
definitely.
flags and all that shit, but you're not. What about the values? What about American values, right? Of standing up for your allies, for going out of your way to help them out, or like you're trying to. What happened to American interventionalism, where the whole reason why we're strong in the first place is because we're willing to take on conflicts that are not even relevant to us, right? Like whatever happened to these? But no, no. Apparently, America bad. America bad. We gotta stop doing these foreign wars. Stop paying Ukraine's like water bill or some shit. Okay, all right. It's just like so stupid, so retarded. I like come on. Where
I
did
will
your
say
where did
though,
your sense of pride go? Yeah, go ahead.
that it's quite. I mean, it might sound like a little bit. I don't know. It's just I have been seeing this phenomenon. I have been talking about it, but I have actually brought this to Destiny probably one of the first times we ever spoke, actually.
Hmm.
And I remember saying that like it seems like nobody loves the place. Like it's just nobody has any love like for like the United States, and of course the place will fall apart and eat itself because there's no defenders of it. There's no people who love it enough to care actually. People are either hateful towards themselves because they think leftoids will be thinking they're the most evil empire on earth, blah, 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 capitalism, blah, 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 right? And the right would be like, oh, it's a bunch of degeneracy, like LGBT people everywhere, like women are out of control, bitch, and all of that, right? And they all hate it for some reason or another, but ultimately they all agree that the place sucks and they don't love it. Right, and they look into other countries that are much more authoritarian. Nobody is the defenders of liberalism there, right? And people who do kind of think that, yeah, I mean, America is all right, but they're not. They don't love it enough to actually do something, right? They are like more of a like individualism. I just, I have my latte, I have my like apartment, I have my like relatively all right living conditions, right? You are a wealthy country, never mind what people say you are. So right, it's just that and people like at the end of the day, people either don't care, are indifferent, or they hate it. So where are the fucking lovers are at? Like who are the people who are supposed to love it? It used to be rightoids, right? There like nationalism was kind of cringe, like
The
America, fuck yeah,
neocons.
all of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
As cringe as that was, at least they loved it. At least they thought it's the coolest place ever, and they like they wanted it to prosper.
Yeah, but
But
now all the
now we don't have
neocons are
that.
like Trump supporters. Like now they're literally all
Yes.
like Trump motherfuckers, right? Like it's just
Yeah, just ask yourself like who loves it? Like who loves what like America stands for? Because
I do.
I saw I mean, yeah, but
No,
there
I know,
seems to
I
be a
know, I know.
minority of people. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
just
it's
pretty
just
sad. Uh,
it's the funniest part is that these so-called these immigrant, right? These brown people that are coming in from other countries. They're more patriotic than the MAGA people. They are more patriotic than the MAGA
because they
people.
came there have those values be their values. So have like for example, if you like spoke right now, no, but before Trump administration, if you speak to Ukrainians and you ask them about the United States, and some soldiers had like patches, right, of the Ukrainian flag and like American flag, and you would ask them, and they will say, well, because I want democracy, I want liberalism, I want freedom of speech, I want human rights, I want dignity to live in dignity, right? I want to be respected as an individual, and you hear of that, and people as freedom associate that with United States. And no matter what leftoids and commies tell you, many people saw America that way, especially in Eastern Europe. People saw it as the alternative to all the communists, the socialists, whatever the fuck crap that we have been through, right? And people really idolized it. Sometimes with the rose-tinted glasses, sometimes a little bit like maybe in a childish way, but it was still something that people aspired to be. People aspired to it, and
Your
now
best
it's
self. Yeah.
yeah, it's just crumbling. Like my one of my closest friends removed his patch just recently from his vest, and I get it. I get it. I wouldn't want to wear it either. So it's just yeah, it's just you're just literally losing. I told this to I think a couple of people that I now have to. It's pretty horrible. It makes me sad. I have to now say to my soldiers that I'm bringing a journalist, for example, right? And they're like,
Hmm.
"Oh, so this is guy like he wants to come and interview you guys, right, at the front lines." And there used
Hmm.
to be like this in 22 and 23, right? I would say is American. And they were like, hell yeah, bring him on, like bring them on. Like they didn't ask
Yeah.
questions even because there was an immediate assumption by default that you would be on the side of the good. Essentially, you will be
Yes.
on the side of the country that is fighting for its sovereignty, for its liberation, that is fighting for democracy, right? And now it's gone. It's completely gone. Now I ask question like that, and they ask me, "American, you say? Should we bring them to the front lines? Will they rat us out to Russia? Will they give sensitive information to Russia? Should we bring them? Are they in support of us? Are they a Trumpist? Are they pro-Russian?" Imagine like hearing those questions like a couple of years ago about the United States, and that default of your superiority of your moral superiority is gone. It's just absolutely gone in a matter of a month, essentially.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's just
that's the
like
damage. That's the damage that was done,
that
and
is
it's not gonna
damage.
be
That
like
is damage. Yeah.
wiped away anytime soon, right? And I have to actually use the verbiage that, that I would use for some fucking Serbs or some shit, or like Russians or
Mm-hmm.
something like that. I would be like, oh no, he's one of the good ones, and then like catching
No.
myself. And I'm like, oh no, I'm actually saying one of the good ones for Americans, and it's just
Okay,
yeah,
but you
it's just
do
pretty bad.
though. But you do, like, so many Americans hate Ukraine at this point, to the point where you have to say something like that. It's just like
Yes,
it is
yeah.
sad. It is sad. It is sad, but it's true, right? Like, I mean, what can you really do about it, right? Like, I mean, it is what it is. Yeah.
Yes. I feel bad for my friends who are here right now, the journalists and everyone who have basically borderline moved in at this point to Ukraine to actually like do
Dylan
reporting and
Burns.
all of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dylan, yeah, is one of the people. Devin, for example, he's a small creator, but he's a,
Hmm.
close friend of mine. And also, for example, people like Andrew Mercado, like, and people like that, right? And you have to like really now. They actually have to fucking say it right now about them, like they're one of the good ones and all of that. Like nobody obviously is mean to them or like harassing them or anything. People still appreciate people from the United States quite a lot who come here and support us and do the journalism and everything. But it's just that just I hope people can actually understand that someday the gravity of what has been lost, because very few nations have that power had that power to
Very
be
few.
assumed.
Very few. All right. We
Yeah,
dominate
yeah.
culture. We dominate the world pretty much. Like, it's just
Yes,
yeah.
yes, and it's just
Yeah.
free fall right now. It's in a free fall, and I am not that thinking about it, actually. I don't even know if there was a country in like modern times that was like by the default assumed that you are on the side of the good guys, essentially, because it's really as childish as that may be. Obviously, that's a little bit like a little bit infantile version of seeing the
The good
United
guys
States
and the bad
geopolitical.
guys. Yeah.
Yeah, but at the same time, it is a very strong tool that you did have that, and now you don't. I don't think it's returning anytime soon, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's like everyone's having an existential crisis right now, especially us. Like, it's like everyone's going like, wait, our role models kind of suck. Our role models kind of suck, you know? Like, it's
I
like
mean,
it's like
yeah,
yeah, it's finally America bad, but it's actually kind of reasonable now when you say America bad,
yes, yes,
because
yeah,
but then we never
yeah,
learn to appreciate what we lost, because it's like now once it's gone, now we go like, oh shit, we should have cherished that a little bit more, you know? It's kind of
yeah.
like a
That's true,
parent.
by the way.
It's kind of like a relative who's passed away. You're like, oh shit, I should have spent more time with that motherfucker. Like, you know what I mean? So yeah, yeah. I mean,
100%. Because most people really don't even know that in the United States. They actually, for example, leftoids and liberals all think that everybody fucking hates you. I mean, everybody hates you now, I guess, but they didn't really before. So that's also kind of like a thing that has been this kind of difference can really be felt, for example, for people like Dylan, Devin, Andrew, because they have been here in 22 and they saw just how good they were treated and how with how much like appreciation and little fun girls and fun boys running around basically because they're American, right?
oh,
And this shift, they can really feel it now. And you can only feel it if you actually like saw that, but most Americans don't really travel like kind of like outside the continent, right? The United States and things like that. A lot of them never really saw that sort of like reverence, and they don't even know like how it feels. Like they do have a statue of Clinton in Albania, I believe, in Kosovo. Yeah,
really?
so someone still loves you. Yeah, yeah, you still have some supporters, I guess. But I don't know for how long, to be honest, though. South Korea still loves you, I imagine. So you do have some people who still simp for you, mostly because of your interventionism.
Mm-hmm.
That
Yeah,
was very good.
that's the
Yeah.
point.
So
Yeah,
if you
because
see,
oh god, this is not related all that much to Ukraine, but like this entire thing with the USAID getting cut, right? Like over here,
It
the
is related to Ukraine
programs.
a lot. We actually
Oh,
lost
okay.
almost the entirety of our power grid restoration money. So a
Oh
lot of
shit.
USAID was restoring the power grid that Russia destroyed. So electricity issues will be much worse if we don't find sponsors for that shit soon, because we have
Yeah.
like 50% of our electric grid destroyed. And
Yeah, that's fucked up.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, like with
yeah.
oh god, see, that's another thing of fascism is to dismantle all of these bureaucracies. Okay, never mind. The thing is just um, like we had USAID. Okay, like people were like, oh, why do I have to? Oh, this is part of Asmongold's argument. He's like, why do I have to pay for another country's problems? Why, why when people can't afford rent, can't afford whatever. Bitch, you, the multi-millionaire, is complaining about this shit? Man, fuck off, dude. Like, he is literally in Trump's tax cut bracket, okay? This is where he's talking from. And he's like, man, I don't want to spend my money cleaning up my... Do you know why America is powerful in the first place? The US is powerful in the first place because of interventionalism. Like, interventionalism
Mm.
isn't this, like, new trend or whatever like that. America throughout history has always has stuck their fingers everywhere. And while it's not perfect, people typically have fond memories of Americans, right? Like Afghanistan before. Now we retreated, but like before they were like, oh, we actually have free speech. We actually had women's rights and shit. You know, like that was pretty
I
nice. That was
mean,
pretty
you
good.
sold them out to Taliban now, so I don't know how much they love you now. But
Well, not
yeah, but
well.
probably not much
They're
before
gonna
that.
like
Yes.
they're gonna miss the days where they had that. But the thing is that I mean, it's more
Yeah,
like we had
perhaps.
no choice. You know, it's more like we had no choice. We couldn't actually stabilize the whole place because
No,
the
no,
Taliban.
no. Excuse me. Trump literally made an agreement above the heads of the Afghanistan government, which is exactly what he's trying to do with Ukraine and Russia. And he abandoned them fully unprepared for for the retrieval that was done. And that's one of the main reasons why Taliban was so fucking successful in taking the entire place. So yeah, you like
Actually,
kind
didn't
of
know that.
fumbled that shit. Not gonna lie. Yeah, not gonna. Trump, by the way. It's not
Oh,
not
Trump,
Biden. That
and then
yeah,
Biden pulled out because of
withdrawal.
Trump's errors. Oh, okay, I
Yes,
see.
yes. For Biden, there wasn't really much else to do at that point. Unfortunately, it was kind of like inevitable that it will be a clusterfuck. But yeah, but Trump fucking sold them out, like fumbled the shit out of that negotiation.
You know what fucking sucks is that you have an
Mm.
authoritarian country, okay? Like lots of authoritarian countries across the world, okay? You have these authoritarian countries, you have these citizens who for their entire lives they have to live with authoritarianism, and then they experience the taste of freedom, the taste of liberal western liberal democracy type culture shit, okay? The stuff that Ukrainians want to taste for so long, right? Like the
Mhm.
taste of this freedom from USSR type commie authoritarian shit, and then in 20 years it gets taken away, like it's gone, all right? And then you're like, fuck, I kind of want to kill myself now. Like, like what the fuck? Like that's fucked up. Like I don't know. It's just it
It
is
is,
fucked up.
yes,
All right,
it
it is
is.
fucked up, man.
It is pretty fucked up in a sense that, for example, spoke with a friend from Romania, and they arrested actually this fucking pro-Russian, Russia-paid oligarch that tried to win in the election with Russia sponsoring there, and they caught him basically with a ticket to Moscow, a bunch of fucking grenades and weapons from Wagner and all that shit. It was like a pretty
What?
big of a cluster. But basically, then Elon decided to say that this guy was actually a democratically elected person, and that he was arrested for no reason because Europe is doing a prosecution and all of that, obviously, right? And he also supported Russian candidate there, this guy, right? And I spoke with my Romanian friend, and I was like, it's so fucking. He was like, it's so fucking unhinged that I mean, in post-Soviet like countries, you try to root it out that corruption, right? Root it out all the pro-Russian motherfuckers that are being paid by Kremlin, right, to basically
Right.
disrupt the country from the inside.
Yeah.
And it's so difficult. Like every step is so difficult to dismantle that and to step away from Russian influence and to have like a decent life, like life that is worthy of a person, right? And it's so difficult. And you have like the richest man in the world that lives in United States
Is a
trying to
Russian
push us.
oligarch. Like he is
Yeah,
literally
yeah.
a Russian oligarch, literally. Okay, like
Yeah, sponsoring and supporting fucking like people that are pro-Russian, and that he unironically the boot, okay, of Elon Musk is trying to push us back against our will in the fucking Russia hostage situations. We are all trying to escape from for decades, sometimes centuries for some people, right? And you have like this motherfucker who never lived under the Russian world, who never experienced any of that, and not only him, but a bunch of fucking rich motherfuckers in the West, throwing shade at all of you right now, trying to push us from having things that you are born with, right? You have privilege to enjoy those things, to enjoy things that we only dream about, and we are doing so much work and so much blood and so much sweat is pulled into trying to get the things that you have just by virtue of being lucky, okay, and being born in places that have that. And you assholes have the goal to sabotage that effort and to actually say us, no, you know what, you don't deserve things that we have. You're subhuman. You deserve to live under Russian boot. That's all you ever gonna get. That's just, that's just a sphere of influence of Russia, right? You can't have anything else. You just. Do you even want anything else? Like, it must be Newland or Obama who convinced you that Russian gulag is not what you want. You would like the gulag otherwise. You're retarded enough to like a gulag. It's just that you know, evil
you
Westoids
don't
convinced you otherwise.
yeah, you don't like being raped. Well, maybe you should change your mindset, right? It's like maybe you should change your
Unironic.
mindset.
I mean, yeah.
Maybe you should like getting raped. Yeah, it's like yeah, literally that.
Who
And
told
you know,
you that rape is bad? It's all feminism, it's a
yeah,
Western
it's
degeneracy.
feminism exactly. And not only that. Oh my god, bro, you know what pisses me off? One of the things the most is that you try to imagine these like cool James Bond villains who are just like badasses and they're like super cool. No, dude, they're cowards. Oh my god, they're cowards. Like Putin is like fleeing from Moscow because he thought his life was in danger. You have like
Oh, and that
Trump.
Prigozhin
You,
thing. Yeah.
yeah, you have Trump and
Mhm.
Elon Musk constantly insecure of their own like image online and social media, always complaining about self-victimizing and shit. I wish they wouldn't be. You have Yanukovych, right? For Ukraine, like on a trip back to
Mhm.
Russia because he's like running away and shit. What, they can't face their mistakes head on because they're like once things get too heated, they're like, oh my god, I'm just a little boy. I'm a little boy. Oh, don't hurt me. Oh, it's like, bro, shut the fuck up. Die. Like I'm just going like, die. Okay, just like I'm literally going like that. Okay.
Okay,
All right.
chill out.
FBI agent, don't get me. Okay. FBI agent, don't get me. Listen, Anna, you're safe. Okay, but
Chill,
I'm
chill,
not
chill.
safe. Okay. All right. There you go.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Okay. All right. That's enough.
Yeah.
Okay.
You gotta chill, unironically. Even I'm controlling myself from screeching that sort of thing, and I do want
Dude,
to. Don't get me wrong. Yes, I do want
oh
to,
my gosh.
but yeah,
That was a joke. Okay, that in Minecraft. In Minecraft. Okay, that was
in a video game, in a video game, yeah,
in the
I
video
know the
games.
trick. In a video game
Yeah.
from streamers.
Oh my
Yes,
gosh. Yeah, exactly. Yes, you got it now. In a video game, dude. Oh my gosh. Oh wait.
yes,
Okay, I don't want to keep you. I don't want to keep you from going to sleep.
yeah,
I
yeah.
don't want to keep you.
Should go. Yeah, my chances of actually falling asleep are pretty low. I'll be honest, but at least I can shut my eyes and lay the fuck down. That
Oh
that's
my
all.
gosh.
That's better than nothing in most cases. Yeah.
You don't have sleep medication?
Uh,
Like you don't have anything like you don't have like
I don't really have
melatonin?
much that helps. That melatonin is for less degenerated brains than mine, I
Oh.
suppose. It's for a little bit healthier people that just have some sleep
Oh,
trouble.
you're
Yeah.
neurodivergent, they them pronouns, neurodivergent. Okay, that's enough.
Mm.
Okay, okay, yeah, no, I'm kidding. Okay,
Don't
all right.
don't mistake my green hair, okay, for that. It's a common mistake. It's a common mistake.
Yeah,
But
you just see this green hair flashing among the front lines. You're like, what the fuck is going on? Right? Yeah.
actually, Like the
Yeah.
green hair is a little bit easier to camouflage, unironically, than, for example, the red I had. I had like a bright red, and
Oh my
people were
god.
like, "What the fuck?" You're like a
500
fucking target.
IQ. 500 IQ. 500 IQ.
This
See,
is
this is.
yeah.
Oh my god, you should get all the Ukrainian soldiers to dye their hair green. Wait, this is genius. Holy shit. Wait. Oh my god, this is it.
That's a
This is
strategy.
literally it. Oh my god. Oh my god. Okay, go. Get that message out right now tomorrow, okay? Get that message
Yeah,
out
that's
tomorrow.
what I do.
Yeah.
I actually unironically want to try
Stop projecting
the
foods.
basically to I had like a pretty brighter green, and then now I got this like kind of like a pine green. It's more pine than military
Okay, but that's
green.
perfect.
But
That's perfect. That's still good,
yeah,
right?
but I want to actually try. I don't know if I can make it because it's a difficult color to achieve. But I want to try to make this like sort of like a hockey color, more like a more military color. At first, I was just wanted to try because it looks quite good on like me. I'm like quite gray in terms of like coloring, so I'm like very white and very gray. I'm like cool,
Gothic.
very cool tone.
Yeah.
Yeah, the grungy got like but I really wanted this like kind of like a hockey military green, and then I was like, hey, I can actually blend in with on the front as well, so that's like
This
double win
this is
essentially.
I'm sorry. That's oh my god. Oh my god. When they're pushing feminism and they're pushing like this like gay agenda to the military, this is what they're talking about. It's strategic. It's literally oh my god. Oh my god.
They
See,
them
this is
army.
what's they them artillery and bombs, okay? They them javelins, okay?
Yes.
They them javelins.
Yeah. Gender neutral javelin.
Gender neutral
Yeah.
javelins, exactly. See, I'm not even, dude. You know what? Okay, like for that, I can be not transphobic on. Okay, all right. There you go.
Good.
All right, yeah.
Actually kind of cringe that if you think about it, that I'm supposed to be like this barbarian Eastern European Ukrainian, and you are the bigger transphobe than me. So what's going on?
You're. There's lots of questions here, okay? Because you're more American than most of us. So, you know, that's not the only question we should ask, right? Like, what the fuck is going on right now? Why don't you have the American flag in the background? You're putting your mask up, okay? This is clearly this is some fake ass shit, okay? Right here. I think I saw you at my local hairstylist, okay? I think you my local bougie gay hairstylist, okay? All right, there you go. Okay, yeah, exactly. What you want to live in the
Maybe.
USSR Russia where all they have is like just bland gray and Slavic brown? Like what? Like no, you want to be right.
They also have
Okay.
vomit. It's actually slender. They also have vomit green, as far as colors go. So, yeah.
Like just
The typical
brutalism.
Soviet,
Ugh. Yeah.
yeah, the typical Soviet colors are usually like diarrhea brown, vomit green, and sometimes like blood vomit red. Sometimes that's like
Depression
3 color
gray.
dyes.
Depression,
Depression
midnight
gray.
gray,
Yeah, depression
midnight
gray.
gray, blue
Yeah.
gray, and red gray. Okay, it's just yeah, yeah,
There's like
yeah.
certain color palettes that you can find in like most post-Soviet shit. But yeah, but I mean, I am like kind of confused sometimes because I am regularly, obviously, as a Ukrainian, called like all sorts of things, like a Nazi. Oh, by the way, I have been recently called
This is
a
what
Nazi.
yeah, sure. This is what a Nazi looks like. Yeah, that's right. This is what a Nazi looks like.
I mean, Chachol Nazi Barbie, I think he said, which Chachol is like a slur against Ukrainians that Russians use. But and then Nazi, but because Bandera, Ukrainians are Nazis, all of that. And then Barbie was kind of interesting because I don't think I ever
Barbie?
been called a Barbie in my life because it's really
Barbie?
not my aesthetic. Yeah, it's not. Yeah, so
Okay,
I
that
was like
person
kind
must
of
be
confused
blind.
about
Okay,
that.
that person
Yes,
needs
yes,
to go
yes.
see an optometrist immediately. Okay, all right. Like, gee, what?
Yeah, I was kind of
Barbie? What
confused.
the fuck?
The broader point though is that I have I am called like obviously things like people assume like I'm like some sort of like racist or some shit, obviously because Eastern Europeans, whatever, right? And it's just sometimes really funny when you actually argue with the like United States people, and you're like,
A
why am I less
racist?
racist than you? Like I'm supposed to be fucking racist over here, but yeah, it's just
Now you can
weird.
say I'm more American than you. That's right. I'm more
I might.
American. You don't have the American spirit, okay? I do. I have the freedom. The Isn't it true?
The
You're
Eagles.
better dead than red. Better dead than red. Okay, that was like we forgot about that. What
I mean,
happened? We
you
appeasing
used to be
Russia now. Better
used
dead
to
than
be
red, right? Like what the fuck happened?
you
Yeah.
actually used to be the people of give me liberty or give me death, right? But
What
where is
happened
that
to
shit?
that? What the fuck? Like
Where is that shit? Yeah.
when you said that I would rather be dead than be under Russian occupation, how is that not literally the same thing? It's literally
Yes,
the
we believe
same
that.
exact thing. Okay,
Yes, we
yeah,
believe
I don't
that.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Oh
mean,
my
it's
god,
just
dude.
yeah, it's just pretty. With well, honestly, with the whole blue-eyed like blue-eyed blonde and white and that's all of that. It's kind of interesting because leftoids call us blue-eyed, white, and privileged because we have like a white privilege, I imagine, which with Eastern Europeans really
How
doesn't fly
what are
if you
you
know
talking about?
anything
All the
about the
slap?
history.
Oh my god! If there's anything I learned about the Bosnian genocide, is that everybody hates each other. Okay, it's literally,
Yeah,
yeah.
and that's one thing. But second thing is also you at the same time you also get a lot of shit from like far right Nazi like people because they don't think that Eastern Europeans are equal to Western Europeans, and they call us like for example gypsies or something like that. You know, I have been recently on a multiple occasions actually a couple posts from rightoids that were like look at she has like Asian features or something of that sort, and I'm like it's such an old meme. I don't know if you know like this or not, but basically like there's a lot of like ideas about Eastern Europeans being like too Asian, quote unquote, to be like considered Europeans. And people say things like that about Finns as well, so further you are from the West essentially. And I'm like, what is this like this old age fucking like Nazi shit? Like I haven't heard that in a while. Like
You're
Asians and
Asian
like
now. You're Asian. We're
gypsies.
both Asian. No, I'm kidding. No, if you're Asian, I'm
Yeah, I
Ukrainian.
mean,
Okay, all right. That's what. Yeah,
you
like
can be. It doesn't really matter, like you know, to me, but matters to them apparently. But it's just yeah. I mean, not that anything is fucking wrong with having like obviously Asian features, but I don't think I do. I think I have pretty like standard Euro face, and I don't think he see that sort of nose on Asian people. I'll be honest, but you know. But yeah, but it's a very funny thing in my opinion that they're like throwing everything at us. So one side
mhm.
is says that we are too white, the other side to be genocided. The other side is says we should
You're
be
not white
genocided
enough.
because we are actually gypsies over here or like Asians. Yeah, it's just pretty funny to be in the middle of like Asia and Europe has always been that sort of like strange thing. So everyone is like I don't know if you ever seen that video with Slavoj Žižek. He was like doing
Um,
basically an explanation of that everyone is to the right of you is basically on the map is basically Asian.
and
Like it's a very fun.
Asia.
It's like a fun.
What?
Yeah, it's a like a funny basically what you do with like Eastern Europe with inner racism between people is kind of
Mhm,
curious actually. You'd be like, for example, you'd be like Poland, right? And Poland
mhm,
has recently been accepted to European Union, is now considered like more of a established part of the European Union, right? And
mhm.
Poles are Europeans, obviously. They are European descent, and most people obviously in this part are. But they would be like, oh, you know, Ukrainians, they can't really, or some really like nationalist Polish people who hate like Ukrainians as well. They're a minority, but they do exist. They would be like talking about Ukrainian refugees. They can't adapt to Polish lifestyle because they're too oriental. They're too Mongolian, you know? So
What?
that's yes. That's like I'm telling you now a very like inner Eastern European shit that most people don't know about in the West. So, for example, that what Slavoj Žižek would explain that you can like everyone has their own arbitrary line from where Asia starts, and everyone is trying to basically pull other people they don't like to be in that like Asia part and to exclude them from being Europeans. And that's something that, for example, Serbs do a lot. They would call people kebabs, which would be like Turkish descent, right, of the Turks, and they would be like, "You're like actually not." It's just it's a European this part of the world thing. It's kind of difficult to
Bro, oh
grasp.
my god, dude. Oh, fuck. Man, fuck the Serbs. Okay, no, I'm kidding. Okay, listen. The thing is,
That's
yeah, like I mean,
I
listen,
wouldn't
they're
argue.
pro-Russia.
I
Okay,
wouldn't argue.
like, okay, listen,
Yeah.
look, it's just my past trauma coming to haunt me, okay? Because I once had Serbian viewers who went on the stream to debate me,
Oh.
and then they were like, and we debated about like the
Jeez.
NATO bombings, and it's always the NATO bombings that we're debating about. It's so cringe, dude. It's just like
Obviously,
whatever.
that
It's
was
just,
still butthurt as fuck over that. It's so understandable. Have you seen the fucking dudes crying when the United Nations and Human Rights Council finally decided that what Serbs did was a genocide? In the assembly, and you really see like actual like the president, the prime minister, and people like from Serbia crying.
oh my
That
god,
they have
dude.
been, yeah,
Oh
how
my,
unfair that was.
bro,
And you're like,
what are you, dude? They're
yeah.
trying to play victim when they've been chopping men's ball sacks off. What are you on about? They've been
Yep.
trying to feed their own. They've been trying to feed
Yes.
ball
Yes.
sacks to their
Yes.
mouth, like they're eating
Yes.
them, like
Yes.
as if it was Hannibal
Yes.
Lecter. Like what the fuck,
Yeah.
bro? Like you can't even do normal genocide or just shoot them to death. You're doing the extra genocide. You're doing the weird Hitler shit. Okay,
Yep.
I'm sorry. All right. Oh my god, dude, it's so cringe.
I'm
It's so cringe.
actually surprised, you know that, because not many people really don't know like the what Milosevic was actually like doing over there. So yeah, it's just just pretty.
Do I look like a Noam Chomsky supporter to you? Do
No, you
I?
don't.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, call me Asian Crow. Okay, I'm kidding. No, I'm not Asian Crow. Okay, stop. Okay,
Yeah, yeah, no,
no,
you definitely don't give a Chomsky vibe to me. Yeah. But
no.
yeah.
Chomsky is a coward. He needs to die sooner. Okay, stop. No, guys, stop. Cringe. Okay, stop. I didn't
In
say
a video
anything.
game, in a
In a
video
video
game,
game. In a video game.
in a
Okay, all
video
right.
game.
This my beautiful brother
Uh,
Zizek.
okay,
Okay,
okay.
all right.
You know what he needs to do? He actually needs
Yeah.
to join the Pope. That's what he needs to do. They just need to hang out. I don't know if you know what I mean.
Wait. Do you like the Pope? Do you like the Pope?
No, I
You don't
don't.
like the Pope. Oh, what do you do?
Yeah. Yeah, he's like very ill right now, and people think he's gonna die soon. So I'm just saying Chomsky should hang out with him, basically.
Oh, yeah. I mean, like
Yeah.
I mean, like if he deserves.
Let's just hang out.
I mean,
Just hang out. Just hang out. You know.
no, because I'm thinking like he'll head out, but I'm not sure if they'll end up in the same place. You know, like if you know, get what I'm talking. No, stop.
I mean,
this is
I imagine
Foodshops being
Chomsky
crazy.
isn't
Okay,
really.
Foodshops being crazy.
Yeah. Just relax. So, yeah, Pope can, whatever. Let's not talk about that. Let's not talk
Dude,
about what I think should happen. Yeah. Mhm.
we're just having too much fun. Okay, all right. We're just like
True. Yeah. But let's not
uh,
have too much fun that you get banned, all right? Because I don't have a YouTube channel. You, on the other hand, so I don't want you to be banned. So yeah. Anyhow, yeah. Probably on that note, on that wholesome note, I should probably go.
okay.
That's
Well,
what I think.
listen, guys, this is Ukrainian Anna. All right, she's very famous Ukrainian. Okay, all right. In
Oh,
fact,
not really.
she might be more famous than Zelensky. Okay, who knows? I don't know. All right. The point
Definitely
is
not.
that the point is that she's fighting on the front lines. Okay, not pulling the trigger literally, but delivering supplies. Okay, but regardless, all right. I already posted the link to the
Yeah,
fundraiser that
thank you
she's
very.
doing. Basically, what she's doing is that they want to set up an alternative
Just
to
a drink.
Starlink. All right, an
Martini,
alternative to
shaken, not
Starlink.
stirred.
Oh, hold on.
I have
Someone
a
has a
question for
question.
Anna.
Yes, what's your question,
Mhm.
Ellie Eater? Someone donated just to ask you a question. Just
Based.
ask the
Let's
question.
do it. Ask the question.
But yeah, Ukrainian Anna. She appears sometimes in Destiny streams. I think. Whoa, hold on.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on. I just got $100. What the
What was the
fuck?
question? What was the question, though?
I don't know.
Someone
I don't
asked
know.
you
But
wanted to-
oh my gosh, Silver King, thank you. What the fuck? Thank you for the 100. Holy shit, thank you. Oh fuck, I sound like
Thank you
Wick
very
right now.
much for
Just a
donating.
drink.
Yeah,
Martini, shaken,
I'm
not
happy you
Oh.
got donations.
Thank you for letting us be
That's
part
nice.
of this cute
No,
day.
no, guys, don't donate to Ukrainian Anna's fundraiser. Seriously, okay, stop. You guys need to
No,
match it. You guys need to
I
match
mean,
it. All right.
food shops,
Just drink.
food shops needs
A
food
martini,
to function,
shaken,
I
not
imagine.
stirred.
So donate
Can I call in
to
quick?
as well. Yes.
Wait, okay. There's this
Uh,
person. There's this person who wants to call in real quick, but I'm not sure. You can say no though. Like, they're saying $2,
on what
$4. I don't know. I
I
don't know.
should we risk it? Can we boot them if they're
Oh no, no,
insane?
no. This person is a longtime fan of mine. So they're not
Oh,
gonna do
okay,
anything
okay. Yeah,
crazy.
that's
But
okay.
the thing is that if you have to go, I'm not going to keep you around. I'm
No,
not like cause
let's do it.
yeah.
But like a short like
Okay,
little
Ellie
thing
Eater,
before.
come into weight room lobby. I'll drag you in. Yeah. Wait, hold on. Let me
Oh,
get your
what
fundraising link
time
again
is
so that I
it
can
though?
spam it. I don't know. I
Oh,
don't.
it's
Yeah.
4 in the morning. Ugh.
Really? No, no, I don't. Okay, Ellie Eater, get your ass in here
No, no,
immediately.
no.
Okay, you have.
Yes,
Okay, yeah.
you have like I have like a couple minutes. It's not gonna get worse, I
Okay,
imagine,
okay,
for
okay,
me.
okay.
So, mhm,
All right, cause,
mhm.
cause, cause every single time we get excited, we just go into another topic that we're just talking shit about different people, and it's very cathartic.
Yes,
Okay, just
probably.
understand this
I
is very
mean,
cathartic
I
for
liked
me.
it.
All right, because
Yeah,
it,
I had my fun. It was good. So I don't
yeah.
complain. It's just that insomnia is a bit of a bitch, and I might need to like shut eyes, at least lay down with my eyes closed. It does help to at least relax your eyes sometimes.
Wait, Ellie
Yeah,
Eater, where are
but
you? Can you send me a link in Discord? Oh my gosh. Okay, wait, can you just give me the question? Hold on. Whatever, it's fine. Sure.
telling him, like I said, it's not gonna be like 5-10 minutes. So I'm not gonna make much of a difference at this point.
Hold on.
It's
See,
actually 4:20. So yeah,
420.
see, yeah. So
See,
it's
that's
like
that's one
morning.
thing. That's one thing you might lose. Okay, if you get occupied by the Russians, you might get banned from weed. Maybe I don't know. Do they like weed?
Or weed? I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not a smoker anyway, so
Oh.
so yeah, yeah, it's not really something I do. All of my friends do. It's not legal in Ukraine though, so it's not uh like easy
What
to
are
do.
they gonna do? Oh, we're gonna arrest you for smoking pot. Oh, like what? It's like meanwhile, like
Technically,
technically you can, but it's like okay, hold on, real quick.
mhm.
What's up? Ask your question, a leader.
Hello, hello.
Okay, okay, awesome. Hi, hi, Sarah. I just want to say, thank you for taking time to come in and talk to Foods and us. I had a question okay, so, um, I'm just, I'm back. So I'm a jack of all trades, master of none, nerdy knowledge. Oh, first of all, can you guys hear me all right? Oh, my
Yeah, yeah,
volume.
yeah, yeah. You're fine. We can hear you. Yeah, just ask your question.
It's a bit robotic, but not bad. It's there.
Oh yeah, that's on my phone. I don't have my computer set up yet. So I just want to say that I think like 96% of the conflict is Putin's fault, and also I've been keeping an eye on the conflict since 2014,
Mhm.
like at least
Okay.
like 96%. Okay, so my theory um is that Putin wants the conflict to wants a big Russian victory in order to go into the history books for himself. Does that make kind of
Yeah.
sense? Like that's and
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
there's other reasons for it, but that's one theory of mine that I haven't heard a lot of people say is that he just wants his ego is so he needs to have such an inflated ego for self worth
Mhm.
that he has to have a Russian victory like and probably like even getting Crimea is probably even not enough for him. He has to have like a huge Russian victory in order for him to be the greatest king of Russia ever, basically. So I just want to see
Yeah,
what your
I
thought
wouldn't
on that
say
is.
you're not wrong. It's like not the only reason, obviously, but it's the reason definitely is there because he himself announced that reason, honestly, like on multiple occasions. I don't know how much you watch like Russian shit, obviously, but if you do have like some
Off and
translations,
on. I keep a lazy eye.
yes, yeah, so it's just the idea of this grand like new version, I guess you could say, of the Russian Empire that he wants is something that he really wants to achieve. For example, he called the dissolution of the Soviet Union is as the biggest geopolitical tragedy of 20th century or
Lost
something like
into
that.
yep. I remember him saying that.
Yeah, 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 yeah. So that's what he meant by that was basically is the fact that not even Russia, Soviet Union, but the fact that really the Russian Empire basically collapsed at that point in
So
time, right?
yeah,
Because yeah, so because for him, obviously, to also his ratings, his approval is very dependent on like victories, quote unquote, right? So in
yeah,
Russia, his approval was growing every time there was like some sort of conflict in, for example, Chechnya or like Ukraine or like
yeah, yeah.
Moldova, Georgia, whatever. All right, so because of that, of course, there's the population who also supports that expansionist imperialist sort of drive that he has. Not all of them, but significant percentage of them. And because of that, I would say that definitely for him bringing something back is important, because otherwise, if he's only has Crimea and like Donbass, for example, which he kind of already had at 2014, and he needs something like more to show
More
as yeah, to
PTSD
spin it
power, yeah.
basically as a victory. Yeah, as a victory, like you said, for Russian people to be like, oh, the great Tsar, is doing great by us, right? So it's not wrong. I wouldn't say it's wrong. His ego definitely is
Just a
there,
drink.
and it
Martini,
is
shaken,
something
not
to
stirred.
actually think about.
Do
For
you know
example,
many
in the Winter
Ukrainians who
War,
fell
when
for the Trump's
Soviet
mega
Russia
brain
and
rig,
Soviet Union
or were most
invaded
people skeptical?
Finland, and
Finland, yeah.
took a chunk of it took a chunk of it, and it was presented then to in Russian papers, right, as a huge victory, because they really needed it to
Hmm.
spin it as if we didn't want to take the entire country, but they did. They did, of course, but it failed, right? So
Yeah, of course.
they spinned it, and they were like, you know what, we got 10%, we secured our border and everything, like, although it was started by the false flag operation done by Russia, but they were like, we took 10% of the territory, it's based, we are victorious, and everyone clapped like seagulls and thought it was cool, although they lost a fuck ton of equipment and people trying to do it, right? So for them it's really important to show some sort of like a victory. They fascist regimes and totalitarian regimes, they don't survive being losers. Unironically, it's like what gets
Yeah,
them. They don't survive
exactly.
that thing. Yeah, so I would say you're correct on that. Yeah,
Thank you.
big
Yeah.
percentage. Yeah, of his motivation is that definitely.
Anna,
Yep.
somebody donated $10 for a quick question. Do you know how many Ukrainians who fell for the Trump's MAGA brain rot, or were most people skeptical? What's your answer to that?
Most people don't like him, and obviously hate him now, but
Mm.
but before, like, the whole thing, there were a percentage of people that weren't really like the biggest fans, but they also were thinking maybe it might be better than status quo with Biden. There was a lot of people who were like, well, they're like spoon feeding us aid, and they're basically using us as a fucking meat shield, and we really don't love that. So maybe having like Trump or something of that caliber person who's like maybe more unhinged, more like a bit radical, maybe will be more will shift situation at least somewhat in some way. But most of them have been wrong, obviously, because I have been telling people that as well, because I've been like, you don't really understand what you will be missing. You will be missing that spoon feeding of eight, and you will be missing that status quo, because getting little is better than getting nothing, and sure as fuck better than straight up sabotage of our war effort and assistance to Russia that you might actually get with Trump. So yeah, in that sense, I would say
Yeah.
kind of what happened.
Cool. Is there anything else, Elite?
Oh, no, that was my only question. Thank you so much for taking the time to answer that question, and hope the best for yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you,
Okay,
bye bye.
thank you. Yeah, that was nice. See, not a trap. Yeah.
Yeah, right. I
Yeah.
thought it might be some evil motherfucker, but he wasn't.
No,
Congrats
yeah,
on not
no,
being.
I wouldn't drag somebody in if I didn't know who they were, like, at all. No, I wouldn't do that. No.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just at this point, I'm kind of like over it. I used to be like more tolerant towards like Westoid, Vatnik retardation, but at this point, I'm just I'm over that shit. Like I
Ah, fuck
cannot.
that. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Why,
cannot.
like
So
they're just a bunch of retards. Like they literally they can't even spell things correctly. You know, like it's just whatever at this point.
I mean, their king
Trust.
is a
Yeah,
retard. So
their
what can you do?
king is a retard. Yeah, exactly. Yes.
Mhm. Brother knows like 5 words. It's actually inspiring. Like I think I have actually a bigger lexicon than Trump does in English, and
DEI
it's just
Biden. DEI diversity
yeah,
Biden woman.
it's a beautiful word. Tariffs a beautiful word,
Tariffs a
and we want
beautiful
peace.
word.
People are dying. People are dying. This is a terrible war. People are dying. 2,000, 3,000, 5,000, 10 bajillion thousand soldiers are dying every day. He changes the numbers every time. I don't
These
know why.
young men,
Uh,
you young men are dying. The war should have ended
he just,
sooner. Not specifying who
if
I
I
think
was a
should have
president,
won.
it would never have happened. It would never have happened if I was a president. And you're like, fuck me. I heard that like I don't know how many times, like 100 times, but now maybe say something new, say something different. Like what the fuck? Yeah, it's just pretty
No, it's
wild.
horrible. Yeah, it is wild. Yeah.
Yeah. People are dying. And they're like, we want peace. And you're like, yeah. I'm actually starting to hate word peace at this point. Like it's just so used and abused to basically masquerade and masquerade the attempt to make us capitulate and surrender on Russian terms. That I'm at this point I'm starting to fucking get triggered when I hear the word
it
peace.
it
Yeah,
masquerades cowardice. It masquerades cowardice. That's what it
mm,
is, right? Because
appeasement.
no,
Yeah, appeasement
yeah,
and surrender is what they want. Yeah, and
you can't
they
you
just
can't
use
have
nicer words.
you can't have appeasement without peace, right? Like that's the whole point. Yeah.
Yeah, but we in Eastern Europe kind of learned our lesson by now, so that not trusting people with not throwing us under the bus and throwing us to the wolves to achieve peace and appeasement elsewhere. So, but at our expense is how Western Europe achieved quote unquote liberation from totalitarian regimes because they thrusted half the fucking continent into commies. So Soviet Union's occupied basically everyone they quote unquote liberated, whether it was Czechoslovakia, Poland, Baltic countries, blah blah, etc., right? And half of Germany as well, right? And all of that is just that. Yeah, that's just everyone continued to live their lives victoriously celebrating, and we were thrusted back into the fucking totalitarian hellscape.
Dude,
And
it's not
yeah,
fair. It's not fair. Yeah, it's literally not
yeah, and
fair.
now
Yeah.
people are saying to us now are like, well, you're so poor, you're so like underdeveloped in comparison, you're so like have corruption problems, and you're like, no shit.
You're saying this about
We,
the group of people who stand the best chance of pushing back Russia with military force, okay?
not
You
only
don't
that,
have shit. All right? You don't have
not only that,
no.
but also, excuse me, we are underdeveloped, poor, and corrupt, and we are much worse in terms of like living conditions than you are. But why? Because you restored after World War II and you started living your best capitalist fucking lives over there. And what did we have? We only dissolved the Soviet Union in the 90s. Like it's just obviously we are so far back. Like half the Germany is so far back compared to the part of the Germany that wasn't in Soviet Union, right? Even the difference between one country is humongous. And in yeah, it's just pretty fucking horrible, honestly, to listen to that shit. And I'm not blaming anyone at this time in life. Like I'm not like playing blame games, so like it's your fault. Obviously, we have our own problems, right? And Russia is the biggest fucking perpetrator over them all, obviously. But still, it's just so like fucking nasty shit. Like to just pretend like we are in the place we are just because we are like we suck as people and we deserve it. It's just pretty fucking horrible. I don't know.
Putin wants you to raise cattle again. To grow crops.
I mean, we
Just
are
like
growing
the
fucking crops.
he wants
We
to
did do it before you
okay,
invaded.
but grow more
Yeah.
crops. Like everybody has to the
Yeah.
point where it's like back in the USSR days, and you guys have like the fucking crops and shit like that, and then the Holodomor happened, and then all went to shit. So it's like
Hmm. I mean, we did continue though to feed them during Holodomor. They stole our food and took it to Moscow and the rest of Russia.
redistribution.
So it's not
Yeah,
like
it's so
yeah. So it's not
stupid.
like we stopped being the
They
breadbasket, quote unquote.
they were morons. They were actual stupid ass dumbasses in government because they thought that, oh yeah, you know what, I can control the complicated, sell and buy prices of every single commodity from the top down. It's just so stupid because
I
it's like
mean, it's just planned economy is like it's fated to collapse at some point, essentially.
you
But
you can't
um,
like you
yeah.
how you can't do it unless you have some kind of like super AI that is able to control all the prices and whatnot. You
I
can't
mean,
do
you
it.
can you can kind of like survive by continuing the expansionist policies and by adding shit to your like yolk essentially. but as soon as you stop that sort of thing, and also you get additional pressure, for example, from the Cold War and from the all the, well, the economical strife that followed the, for example, the World War II, and all of that. For example, Lend-Lease has had to be paid back, obviously, and all of that. It's just, there are a lot of things that affected that, but yeah, it obviously is a good thing that that fuckery collapsed, and yeah. Well, anyhow, on that note, I should probably go.
Okay. Well, listen, Anna, I would shake your hand if I could. Okay. Thank you so much for coming. It's been an absolute pleasure talking with you. Let us catch up again in the future and make that our third interview because I don't like ending on twos. All right. And let's make sure
Okay.
let's make sure you're alive then as well. All right. And let's make sure that by that time Ukraine has won. Or if Ukraine is still fighting, let's make sure you're at least winning. Okay. I'm still like processing the fact that I just went on an interview for like what, like 3.5 hours, 4 hours or something.